the Wilson Road subdivision, tax map 16, lot 9, 23 Wilson Road, Londonderry, New Hampshire, has been approved as noted per the memo dated March 5th, 2025, and the discussion therein to include updated roadway design as per sheet 7, and to also include the flow rate and direction of water on the east side of Wilson Road. These precedent conditions will be met as per our planning department's recommendation and as outlined in our applicable regulations. Business, we have a public hearing on an application for formal review of an 8-lot subdivision along with associated site improvements and waiver requests at 23 Wilson Road, map 16, lot 9, and map 18, lot 24-5. Excuse me. Douglas and Maria Jones are the applicant, and the Evans Family Limited Partnership is the owner. This was continued from March 5th and April 9th, 2025. Gentlemen, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening.
All right. So, let's set the table here a little bit. A few months back, you came with a proposed plan. The board discussed it a little bit. We gave you some feedback. Following that, we actually had a site walk down to the road and the property where we had some more discussion, I think some good constructive discussion, and then we are here tonight. Looks like you've made some amendments to what we had originally seen, and I'd like you guys to go through it, discuss it a little bit. I'm going to go over to our town staff after that, and we'll come and start talking to the board.
Okay. So yes, after we had done our site walk, we had an additional walk with John Trottier out on the site. We tried to identify a couple of places that the drainage was an issue, and it was similar areas to what we had looked at with the board as well. But what we did is, as you come down and around the steep slope, we do have a catch basin at that location now that brings it across the road to our side into our detention pond. And then further down the road where that really low point was, where the road was all cracked up, we put a culvert under the road there and brought the drainage across the road to our side as well. So the two biggest problems...
Real quick, Kelly, can you show me on the map? I see the first one. I think I see the first one on the first page. It looks like it's right above the R on the right-of-way. Is that correct? To the right side of the page? Right here.
Yes, correct. That's it. Yes, right there. Yep.
Second page.
So that one that you're looking at right there is as you're coming down and around the steep section where the embankment is on the side.
Can you show me where the second location
right
is?
Off of Wilson Road, like where the D of Wilson Road is, it's right after that. There's a low point that brings the drainage across the road to our side.
I'm looking at, I got this dotted line here. Yep. That's your low point, and then it looks like I've got something going under the road. That's what you're talking about?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Right where that goes across, right where that pipe goes across, is where that low point of the road was. That it was just really broken up.
That's where the driveway is. It gets.
Right before that. I think that driveway is
right where it says 4x2. Right above that, I believe, is that driveway. Correct.
I thought it was like by the Wills on the next page, the page that we were on. I think that driveway that was like the low point was right at the corner, wasn't it? Like right at the where the road makes its sharpest bend.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So anyway, that we can get the drainage, we can get all the drainage down to everything get down to that point and put across the road. So with what we're doing, the additional things that we're doing, we should not have that low point anymore and drainage like kind of sitting and getting underneath the road in that spot. So the two drainage things were big changes that we made, and then the biggest change was we made the decision to grind the entire road. We're going to we're going to grind all the asphalt, and we're going to relay the entire thing as a recompact it and relay the entire thing as a complete 20-foot wide base with a good crown on it. So that was something where the overlay that we were talking about was like it isn't going to fix anything underlying, and it gives us some options on being able do more get things done more quickly on our side by using a little bit bigger equipment. If we just rip up the whole road completely, grind the whole thing, regrade the whole thing, get the drainage in, because we're going to be cutting across the road in places with the drainage. So the whole thing gets ground and redone. What we're proposing is to do the 20-foot wide, do the crown, and it's going to be a base coat of pavement. We're not proposing to do, other than the 2 culverts that we're putting under the catch basin culvert we're putting under the road. We're not planning on trying to expand out the other side or like add a bunch of ditching or clean things up on that side. We're still in general leaving that side as is, and then doing everything that we were already proposing on our side. Just we expanded our ponds a little bit. We made everything work with the drainage. So the additional drainage we're bringing back onto our side now, we've adjusted things for that.
Walk me through, Kelly, can you go back to sheet 7? I think it's the first sheet on it. Looking from sheet 7 going through sheet 8, looking at we'll call it the upper, so we'll call it the north side of this picture, though it's not really the north side. It's north side of the paper.
Yep.
Walk me through where the right-of-way is going to be that would be given by the applicant for the new right-of-way for the town. Is that the line in the dot, the line in the dot?
Line, right?
I think that's a drainage easement.
Put the drainage easement.
I'm not sure that it's showing up very well on your.
Looking for the new road improvements. I'm looking at what the easement looks like.
The dark line you're looking at, John, is the easement line, and the right of way is down here.
Okay. It's not showing up as well on mine. So if you on the plan you're looking at right there, the dark like dash dot line.
This.
Yeah, that dark dash line. That's what a 10.
That's a drainage easement
That's the drainage easement, 10 feet.
or slope and grading easement. That is.
Where's the roadway easement? I guess is what I'm asking.
It's. I think it's in like a faded color on John's sheet there. Kelly, can you put sheet 2 up for a second?
Do you have the original?
Oh, that's just the engineering sheets.
Yeah, I just have the engineering
okay.
sheets. Shit.
Did we not give them a?
I did the engineering sheets.
I guess let me rephrase it, because we've seen the easement before. I'm just trying to see it again. We're seeing the proposed easement. The easement as it stands today on that side of the road, is it going to differ from the easement if this was an approved plan? Would there be additional easement given to the town of Londonderry?
We're granting on the S&H subdivision plan. We're expanding the right of way on that side all the way along. And
Correct.
I'm looking at it on the plan that Rob has printed out here. He has a dark dash line that is basically running parallel with the dash dot line that I have on my plan.
I want to, Kelly, can you scroll to sheet 17?
Easement sheet. So that's about a 15-foot depth, running most of the way down, shutting down in a couple spots.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that looks like, so for instance, this is your,
Yeah,
this
I
is
haven't
your-
shown.
This is your easement line that you're getting.
That's the new edge of right of way.
Okay, so
Yep.
there is a significant giving here
Yes.
on what is a curve.
Yep.
There's a significant given to, if the town decides to do something in the future, they've got some room to change the geography of the road, correct?
Yeah, so we're already yes, you're right. So the geometry of the road would have a little bit of extra room to straighten the curves out. With what we're doing, a lot of that extra dirt's all going to be moved back. So it's going to be relatively flat within that whole right of way.
Okay.
That curve is across from number 44, right?
And yes, I believe so.
Yeah, the most significant area is right in that sharpest curve. We're really opening up that, pushing that embankment back and opening that curve up, so.
I'm glad you are, because, like I said at the last meeting, I got in an accident right there. And during the winter, ice on the road caused me to skid. I couldn't turn, and I ended up into that woman's driveway and into her snowbank. And it's just such a sharp curve there. It comes across, you're coming down the road, and if you hit some ice, you're just going straight ahead, and you can't make that turn. So I'm so glad you're going to cut in there, and hopefully that'll help.
So let's take that curve for instance. Can you show me in the which one of these cross sections has that easement on it? Or excuse me, not that easement, that curve. Which one of the cross sections in your plan? Can you give me what sheet number it is, represents where that curve is, so we can discuss a
17?
little bit about existing and proposed improvements?
17.
Zoom in, go up to the sheet. What, zoom in, what's the station number?
About 12.
12?
About 12.
17.
Through 13.
11 through 13.
You said station 12?
Yeah, 12 plus 0, okay, so 12 plus 00, so that would be on sheet 11 of the engineering plan set.
Perfect. Kelly, can you scroll to that? Let's talk about in particular 12 plus
I think 12 plus 50 is the one where we're really cutting it back.
Correct. So I want to talk about 12 plus 50, and 13. Those are all right around that bend, correct?
Yep, correct.
All right, so let's go to, since it's the biggest one, let's look at 12.50, which is inside of that curve. The black line, the dark black line is your current existing pavement?
That represents the full mill.
Okay,
And
so that's representing what the complete overlay is going to be.
the mill and complete, it's not an overlay, we're completely milling and we're laying brand new base pavement.
Correct. Now, that dotted line, can you explain to me, and if the board can see, this dotted line right here, can you explain to the board what that dotted line is?
That's the existing grade as it is right now.
So that's what if you're looking at a cross section, if you're looking at it, that's what the existing conditions of the edge of the roadway are right now.
Yeah, so if you're going around that sharp bend, if you remember, the embankment is like right
Right up
there, like
against
it comes down right to the edge of the road.
Correct. So that dotted line is representing the current embankment on the
Yes.
side of the road.
So if
Okay.
you look at our proposed grade versus the embankment, you can see how much material we're taking out at that corner.
Let's talk about the proposed grade. Let's go through that with the board a little bit. What is the proposed grade on 12.5? Is that the dark line?
That's the dark line that shows the 4-to-1 and then 3-to-1.
Can you explain to the board what 4-to-1 and 3-to-1 are?
Yeah, 4-to-1 slope is 4 feet out. 4 feet out for every 1 foot of fall, and then we go up at 3 foot out for 1 foot, and then flatten out and go up at 3-to-1 again. So.
And then I also see an item that says 4 feet full box. Can you explain to the board what is a full box? What are those 4 feet? What does that look like at your finished product?
So a lot of what you're seeing all the way along that whole edge, we're doing the full gravel shoulder on that side. So we need to box out the shoulder all the way along. So on our side of the road, there's going to be a full gravel shoulder along with the improvements we're doing to the road itself.
Okay, so if, again, looking at 12 plus 50, we've got your dark black line, which is representing your milled and repaved roadway, correct?
If I could go for a minute.
Sure.
Yep.
Look at what that he's referring to, because again, it's really, that's not your full box or your full mill and over. the line, it does not match up at all with what you're saying, 10 foot.
Oh, we're actually, the mill should go over to halfway through the 4-foot box. That, the 4-foot the 4-foot box area in that area is, we're gonna expand the road over in that area.
Correct.
So if you go up
Which,
one, if you
you're,
go up one more station at 13.
Yep, 13.
It's shown incorrectly on the right
Yep.
hand side again.
Correct.
so, you're jumping a little ahead of me. I've got it on my radar here. You're jumping a little ahead of me.
Wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, back to 12.50.
Yep.
Your dark line is representing your full mill and relaying of the road. As Mr. Trottier has identified, that cross section in particular, well, I understand what you're trying to do, which we're going to meet a 20-foot paved roadway.
Yep.
So there are some adjustments that need to be made
Yeah, if you look
inside
at
of that cross section.
If you look at 12 and 13, I have the 10-foot
Correct.
dimension there, but the dark mill needs to go all the way to the 10-foot.
Correct.
Correct. Yep.
So let's just kind of keep note of that as we're going here.
So what you're saying is that that's almost like a typo.
Drafting should have included the hatching all the way over to the full. I have it labeled
A plan that
correctly.
would get signed would represent what we're talking about, which discusses the full 20-foot width of pavement.
Correct.
So you've got your full box. So in 12 plus 50, you've got what we've identified now is going to be 20 feet of roadway. That's going to leave 2 feet of a gravel shoulder where there is no gravel shoulder existing today, correct?
Correct.
And then from there, as opposed to going up something which probably is a 1-to-1, if not steeper, correct? It's now going to go away from the road on a 4-to-1, and then it'll start to go up in a 3-to-1 till you get to your easement,
Yeah.
correct?
So what you're doing is you're getting any of the drainage on that side of that crown is getting down off the road. It goes off your shoulder and it goes down into a ditch away from the road.
So let me ask you this. We've talked a little bit about drainage and what it's going to do to drainage. What is this going to do to the visibility or the sight distance of the roadway? Going around that curve, is there going to be a greater sight distance for somebody driving down that road?
Yes, because right now the grade is coming right down to the edge of the road. That all the dirt in that entire corner is going to be taken out, and you're going to be looking across the corner of, over the top of a swale instead of vegetation and a mound, essentially.
So, does everybody have a piece of paper in front of them? Can everybody find a piece of paper? All right, we're going to do a little thing here real quick because I want everybody to describe. It may sound a little elementary, but I want to describe something to everybody. I want you to put this piece of paper in line with the center of your nose.
I just want to say I have test anxiety.
It's all right. You're not being graded. So take this piece of paper, put it in the middle of your nose. You can't see much of the room, right? You can't see the left side of the room. Now take that piece of paper and go like this. Or actually, your roadway's dipping down, correct?
Yep.
How much of the room can you guys see now? So we're going from I can see half of the road, and granted, this is a little extreme of a measure, but I'm going from seeing this to seeing that. Would the board agree that that is a much better condition than this right here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we've discussed a little bit about your improvements. We've talked here. We just did a very elementary education on what it looks like to see better.
Very elementary.
Very elementary. Very rudimentary, I should say. Nonetheless, I think it was a good exercise to give you an idea of what potential we have there.
Good show and tell. Good show and tell.
Oh, gee, thank you so much. I do see, talking a little bit back to what Mr. Trottier was talking about, go up to, I want you to go to 15 plus 0, 0. It looks like your edge of pavement is going all the way over to the edge of the full box. I would assume that edge of pavement should be at the edge of the 10 feet, correct? So this is more of that
Yeah, it should
typographical
be
type
at the
error.
10 foot because there should be on all cases on every one of these there should be a full 2 foot of gravel off the end of every one of them.
Fantastic. So without going through all of these, I want to get to the understanding that a signed condition plan is going to represent asphalt inside of the entirety of the 20-foot marker, correct?
Correct.
Fantastic. All right. I'll let you guys keep going. I know I've gone off on a tangent here.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
If they're putting binder down, does that mean the town is responsible for the top coat, or?
Talk to us about that. What does that look like?
Charlie can talk to that.
If you can just put a mic up on the
Yep.
thing and have Mr. Evans, if you could come up and speak a bit on.
My name and address, you all set?
Yes, please.
Charlie Evans, 22 Goonan Road, Hooksett, New Hampshire. When we came back here last fall, we weren't proposing to overlay the road, just proposed to patch it. So I'm looking at it, and we heard the concerns of the board, so we decided to come back this spring and agree to overlay it. After the site walk, it became apparent that overlaying is a pretty poor Band-Aid. So what we propose is to have Conditional paving come out, grind the existing pavement, grade it, and put a town spec binder course of it. And we'd like the town to partner with us to take care of the top coat. It can be done, I mean, realistically, it should be, probably wait a couple of years till all the construction's done anyways, to put the top coat on. And then if the town wants to do anything on the drainage on the east side of the road, over and above the two cross culvert and catch basin want to give them, I mean, the town can do that at their leisure. We think the road we know the road has been ignored for many, many years. The situation has been made worse by all the approvals of the building to the north. It's a cut through, the road's a mess. It's been, there's no question about the safety issue. And we just feel that we're giving the town probably about a $400,000 gift in the work we're proposing. So we don't think it's unreasonable to ask the town to be a minority partner and pitch in for the finish coat. And if they want to grade the other side of the road, they can do that at their leisure.
So I want to. We, the planning board, are not in the business of telling the town what to do in terms of their maintenance and their improvements. So it's not something that we could recommend or condition the town installing not vinyl coat, final wearing course or anything like that. Well, I understand what you're saying. It's certainly not something we would be able to condition. We cannot spend the town's money. That said, I think it's worth the board to listen to and consider, which we've got a little bit of time before we get into deliberation, but this is a very good point that you're bringing up, is the applicant is proposing to install this road as a binder coursed road, and that is the final course that they are willing to put on. I think we need to deliberate that a little bit as a board. Ultimately, it would be up to the town and the engineering department or public works or however their roadway maintenance goes. It would be up to the town if we so condition this application without a final wearing course. It would be up to the town to make that decision to see if they'd like to make that additional maintenance. So there would be nothing that we could condition on the town of London for the planning board side. Mr. D.
How many feet is it, please? That you
1,700. 1,700?
1,700
Yep.
by 20 feet.
Yep.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, I think what they're proposing is a great improvement to the road. I've had binder on my driveway for over 20 years. I was going to put a top coat on, but I don't need to.
Yeah.
I understand a road. Mr. Wally would disagree with me that that's probably the right thing to do on a road, but I know that you have some time. So
Correct.
if we can somehow get into this road into the schedule, I don't know how that works or who does that. Personally, I would think that would be acceptable. I think they're doing a lot to the road, like you said. I don't know how people drive that road as it is. So
Yeah, and I don't disagree. Again, it is not in our purview to tell the town what to put on their maintenance schedule.
whose purview is it? Town council?
I think the council could recommend, but ultimately, I mean, you have a road maintenance schedule. Like, do you know what roads are getting work done on this year?
Yep.
You know, what are they?
Winding Pond, Sims Drive, Kit, Kim,
I think did you just do Gary? Did Gary just get done?
correct.
Yep.
Yep.
So it would be something that, down the road, if the Public Works and Engineering decides they would like to do maintenance on this or perform that would be when it would happen. But again, what I'm getting at is it doesn't come from us.
Have we ever been delivered a road that's just binder before?
No. Generally speaking,
Because we'd be worried about the precedent as well.
let me answer the first question first. Hold on. Generally speaking, no. Or no, we have not accepted a road that is just binder. We have allowed phasing where, parts of a development could become occupied and there still is just a binder coat on, and, the wearing course, correct me if I'm wrong, John, would become part of, in order for them to get their bond back, they need to complete the wearing course, so on and so forth. So, yes, or final, whatever it is, wearing course. Precedent. I'm not terribly concerned about precedent. I don't think there is I have spent a lot of time over the past few days, seeing as my trip got canceled, driving around this town and really looking at the roads in Londonderry. There are a handful of one-way roads in Londonderry, this being the longest. The other two are McAllister Drive, which is where Hepworth Memorials is on 102, and the other one right across the street, which is equally as small, is that turn into Buttrick Road. When you're at Superwalk, you turn right and you go down the hill there. Those are really the only other two one-ways in Londonderry, with the exception of the airport, but it's the airport. I don't think we're setting a precedent here. This is not a subdivision going in on a roadway that has not been installed. If we were doing this for a subdivision, 20-lot subdivision where there was no roadway, I would be very concerned about precedent. That being said, there really is no other one-way road in this kind of condition with the history of Auburn Road in the town of Londonderry. So personally, I'm not too concerned about precedent. I think this is a unique circumstance.
Well, at least they're leaving it better than they found it.
Correct. Jeff, you sounded like you wanted to say something while I was talking. Do you have something?
I was just wondering, are they through with their?
No, they still have a bit more. Yeah. Yep.
So maybe we have them finish the.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
we can go into.
So if you folks want to keep working, if you'd like to continue presenting.
I think we're most of the way through. I mean, we had talked about everything before, and we kind of gave you the rundown of all the new things that we've proposed since the last meeting. We've gone through the design review checklist, their third party review. We've tried to address everything we possibly could with it. There's things that we said that we wanted waivers. There are a couple items that the comment from the review agency was it doesn't meet town standards, so we're not going to review anymore. So there isn't even anything. There, in theory, there would be something to address, but there isn't. So it's a little bit of a hybrid review, as we discussed in the beginning. We knew that the review would come back saying it doesn't meet a lot of the regulations. So I guess it would come down to a discussion with the board on item by item, like if you need more waivers, just making sure that you guys have everything you need, that we've supplied everything you need to be able to rule on the application.
Kelly.
I just want to clarify something. The review comments dated March 5, in the response memo provided by the applicant, those review comments are in response to that March 5 submission. The plan set that you have in front of you this evening was submitted, I believe, last
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday last week. Yes,
that
correct.
did not go out to third party because of the ongoing discussion at the board level, and staff did not do a thorough review as we normally would, again, because the direction of the board is essentially kind of the opposite of how we would typically
Correct.
conduct a review, which is against a two-way road standard. So I
Correct.
just want to make clear that there is no official staff review and memo, and there's no official third-party review and memo for this set you have in front of you.
Correct. That said, I don't feel as though, and I would like the board's input on this, I personally don't feel as though this needs to go to another review because we know what the comments are gonna be. The comments are gonna echo very similar to everything we've heard for however long we've heard it. So I don't necessarily feel that this needs to go to an additional review. Would the board agree with that?
I would like to see what Mr. Trotter thinks if he
You
like.
better be careful, Jake, because again,
Right.
like he's saying, there's a lot of town standards that they're not addressing, they're not meeting. So, in my opinion, I think staff, Kelly would agree with me, they need to request those waivers so that the board can formally address those waivers and either grant them or say.
So you're saying the waivers from the March 5th?
Well,
I wouldn't go there, Jake, because
So I
again,
guess-
some of the stuff that they pointed out, it's half-baked.
So,
These plans are not ready for being acted upon, in my opinion.
Why?
You just saw so where is the width of the road?
Correct. We're,
Right.
we're identifying these, but what?
Yeah, so
you know.
he needs to look at each of these sections.
Yep,
There's 1,700 feet of sections.
yep,
So again, so what happens with each of those sections?
yep,
They're showing that it's going beyond where is the 10 feet?
correct. And
So
I
it
think
doesn't
that's
make any
part of what
sense.
tonight is gonna be. I'm prepared to go through this section by section because I don't think there needs to be another review of this. I'm prepared to go through this section
So
by
the-
section and discuss it with you and see how the board feels.
the only, just from a procedural standpoint, I just want to make sure, this is why I made the comment a few minutes ago about the review. The comments that you have in front of you from town staff are from a different plan set.
Different plans.
So
Fair.
the waivers represented are based on
A different
our
plan.
read of that plan set.
Yep.
So if there are additional waivers,
We wouldn't
staff
have them identified.
doesn't have them formally requested,
That's
which we
fair.
typically require, and I guess I would want to be certain that the board is acting on all necessary waivers,
That's fair.
because
We'll
if
be
you
back here
don't,
again.
we'll have to do, regardless of whether you apply a one-way, two-way road standard, whatever, when we have to review the final plan set, we have to review it against something, and if there's a missing waiver that we missed through this discussion, it may have to come back to the board. I'm not saying that's gonna happen,
Yeah.
I'm not saying,
Yep, which
I
is
just wanna point it
understandable,
out.
Which is understandable.
but, the board you can go through, like you said, the plan you have before you, sheet by sheet, and I just ask that you're very clear about what you're voting on, whether it's a waiver or the overall approval.
That's fair. All right.
Well, I think we need a most recent set of waiver requests, so we have something that has some meaning.
I would think we can work on the waivers we know of, no?
There are the ones we don't need.
They might not be waivers anymore.
My take on it is, I think we need to be acting on the latest plans and have a third-party review of the latest plans. And I like what they presented, I'll say that as well, but I think we need to be acting on the latest set of plans.
And
I think we've done that.
just to add, the reason it wasn't sent out for review
Yeah, you
It's
got
because
it
I got it
Tuesday or Thursday or
a week
something.
ago,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
so.
Would it be, Mr. Chairman, would it be acceptable that it could that it would take a month to review those, or how long does that usually take?
So I actually directed our third party to hold until this discussion, because we need to give them some direction as to how to review this, because right now, as the letter that you have from March 5 says, they're reviewing it against our current standard. So,
That's what I'm saying. That's why I
Right.
don't understand the point of the review. We're reviewing against a standard that means nothing in this case. Nothing.
So then, Jake, give us some direction. What do you want? 20 feet of pavement? That's
Yeah.
all you want? Nothing on the east
I
side?
want to go through
Jake,
this.
let me finish.
Yep.
20 feet of pavement, no improvements on the east side, With a catch basin, or 2 catch basins, that's it.
I wanna
On
go
their
through,
side.
I
Let me
wanna
finish,
go through
please.
this line by line, and I want the board to come out with a conclusion. Because I feel as though another review is gonna come, what are they reviewing against, to your point? They're reviewing against a standard that is not applying here, so why are we reviewing it? It makes no sense. I understand what you're saying, we're identifying waivers, this, that, and the other thing. There are no, to me, there aren't even waivers to review, because there isn't a, we're not reviewing it to anything.
think
We
you're-
keep reviewing it
what
to
you're
a
getting
standard
at
that's a
is
moot
you're
point. Why are
you're
we doing it
waiving-
for the 5th time?
You're waiving
The regulation.
any regulation relating to a two-way road standard.
Correct. And I want to go through this line by line. I want to talk to them. I want to talk to you, and I want to come out with a plan for this, because I've seen this for my entire time on this planning board. Mr. D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one thing I would like third party to look at, or somebody to look at, the applicant said that, and I'm gonna paraphrase, so please correct me when I make a mistake, because I do that. But the applicant said that they made the ponds a little bigger, and they had to do this and they had to do that because of the 2 drainage culverts. That has not been reviewed, correct? So that alone, I would want to make sure that it's okay by somebody, because that's not my personal strength. And that is, regardless of whether it's a one lane road or a 2-lane road or whatever it is, drainage is drainage is drainage. It's either gonna work or it isn't gonna work. And engineering can find puddles if it's not gonna work. So I would like to see at least that. That's one thing that stuck out to me. There may be other things that I haven't noticed yet, but that was just one that jumped out at me, saying, well, wait a minute. We're adding more water into the pond. How is that? What's the whole downstream thing look like?
So with that said, also, Tony, so again, with an example like this, if this was a new subdivision, Tanager Way, we would accept all that water, and all that water would go into a pond that the town maintains. This one here, 5% of the water from Wilson Road is gonna go into that pond. I don't wanna maintain that, so you give me flowage rights, and you maintain it. Make sense?
Sure, yeah, and that's,
So that's again,
Part-
that's
that's part of the
something that's gonna
conversation.
come up to,
yeah.
we're gonna get into another debate about this.
Can you not make an opinion on the pond? You can't make an opinion on ponds without having to review this thing?
I can
Again,
make an opinion
I'm
on
talking,
pond.
but what I'm saying is, we keep talking about third-party review. We can't come up with an opinion from our town engineer on what he thinks.
Yeah,
about
I
the
didn't know
pond.
that was
No,
a
no,
thing.
no. Yeah, but what
that's fine.
Again, I'm seeing this as,
Yeah, that's
how many
fine.
times have you guys had some sort of third-party review on this application? Gentlemen, excuse me, gentlemen. How many times have you had a third-party review on this application? Maybe
I
not
don't even
specific
know.
to this one, but Wilson Road.
It goes back to 2018, I believe, was the first application.
Sounds about right.
Probably at least 3.
So let me just add one more thing so that I can just be clear. So the board can make a decision this evening if you want to. My request as staff is that whatever conditions that you're applying, that it's very clear, which
Clear
it sounds
as
like
to
you're
what
gonna
they
do
are.
that.
Yep.
So that way, if the consensus is to still send it out to third party, that they have something they're reviewing it
Yes,
against.
correct.
That's all- that's what I'm
exactly
saying.
what I'm trying to get at. We
So-
can't just send this thing to third-party review again for them to come back and go, doesn't meet the two-way standard, doesn't meet the two-way standard, doesn't meet the two-way standard. I wanna come out of this, wanna go line by line. Yes, no, change this, fix that. All right, guys, what is our conditions gonna be?
So I'm okay keeping it in-house. If that's a thing that can happen, I'm fine with that. I just want it looked at by someone.
Totally, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
So that's fine.
Wholeheartedly.
I thought we had to go to third party. If we don't, that's okay.
Wholeheartedly agree. I just, for me, it's, what?
Gonna go with third party,
Why?
because it should,
What are they reviewing?
again, some of the drainage stuff. That drainage
Off of what standard?
off of the town standard for drainage.
Okay.
You're not gonna waive the
We
drainage
can't review
standard.
that internally.
No, we cannot. No, I cannot.
You, the town engineer, cannot review
I cannot.
drainage internally for the town of
No,
Londonderry.
I do not have all the time in the world, Jake, to be concentrating on one particular project.
All right. it can be subject to third-party review of drainage, would be the condition that we would be discussing.
Either way, yeah, as long as someone looks at it
Yeah.
and says, yes, that's fine.
Well, I guess,
I am hesitant for us to do this without third-party review, simply because that's why we have third-party.
Would you-
And I understand the standard and all of that.
Yeah.
However, it's why we have them. This is a public road that if something isn't done right, if we approve something that is not done right, yet we've approved it, there is a lot of collateral damage that can happen to it. If this was a private road, that's one thing. This is a public road on a busy one-way public road that feeds an entire development. And in my opinion, I think we need to have the pros take a look at this.
So I'm fine with that, but I need an understanding of what they're reviewing, because I'm not going to send this to review again for them to review it the way they would a traditional.
I agree, but I am hesitant to take a
And
look at these waivers and say yes, no,
Correct.
or anything.
And I want to play a little bit of a devil's advocate there to your concern of if we approve the road, where does the liability fall? Where's the liability fall today on a road that hasn't been maintained
listen,
in 30 years?
this is light
Yeah.
years better than what we have.
Correct.
Now. And I appreciate all of the work that you guys are doing. We are basically redoing a road for free, and it is. I really appreciate that, but I still am, and I realize, but I still. It's a big engineering project that needs, from my opinion, needs to get reviewed by the people we pay to review this.
Yeah,
The
so,
drainage needs to be reviewed.
No.
yes, and to
no,
that
I-
point,
I mean,
can't we,
drainage is one thing, but I
can't we
would want-
direct staff to direct third party?
I'm fine with
Look
that.
at this project, the drainage.
I'm fine with that.
Is that a thing?
So
Can
just
that be done?
procedurally again, just so we're clear how this actually works. So one, you've done completeness. I think you should at a minimum act on the waivers that have been requested of you, which are reflected in that March 5 letter. When it comes to a conditional approval, since it seems to me we're not applying the two-way road town standard, again, very clearly state each condition that you're applying when it comes to the roadway. If you conditionally approve it, what we do is we write a notice of decision. It has the conditions as outlined by the board and any other conditions that staff has recommended, if you choose to include those as well. That package goes to third party, and that's what they review against.
Fair.
So
That's fair.
that's the process that we would do.
That's fair. All right. I want to open this up to the public, and then I will, I'll come to staff and board. Anybody from the public have anything? Any input? Seeing none, I will close public comment. All right. Let's start with staff. I don't really, if you have an opinion, opine away. If you don't, that's fine as well.
Just asking that you act on the waivers that are requested. At a minimum.
Where are they? I can't find them.
They're in, it's under Wilson Road, response letter 5-5.
Mr. Chair, I think if we go through the waivers one by one, we can see which ones apply. And is it possible to have this reviewed as a one-way road and not a?
No, because we don't have a standard to review it
Who
against.
makes the standards for
The
one-way?
town would need to create a regulation, so then we have something to create, to be able to review against.
Can we ask, after this project, can we ask for them to create a standard?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we clearly need one.
I don't know that they'd come up with one, but we could ask, for sure.
I mean, I got ChatGPT. if you want me to-
But again, we'd be coming up with a one-way road standard, and we have a couple hundred feet of one-way road.
originally made the subdivision application.
They are covered here in the first
Yeah, so
couple pages here. Just review from Stantec. No, it does not include a waiver request has been submitted.
What?
I can't find anything that's got. In the response letter, it says,
I,
10
We're-
waivers.
we need to do
as noted
waiver
in the letter from December 16th, but then there's nothing after that. It's- where are the waivers?
On page 1 of the design review.
Are you in Wilson Road response letter
Yes.
5525?
Page
So
1.
you got design review items, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Waiver request. Oh,
Yep.
God, yes. It's been a very long day. I'm sorry.
Keep scrolling.
Yep, so it would be plenty of them, because again, this all goes to two-way road standards.
I do think though that those waivers, when I said earlier, you should waive the two-way road standard, I think
Would cover all of this.
most of it, I don't know if it covers every single regulation, but again, at a minimum act on these is what I would recommend.
So, is there a way to simplify that to, could we, hold on, freeze.
Really? I've been sweating for an hour.
You're not sitting against a register here. It's blowing cold air.
Yeah, you're cold, right?
Yeah, freezing.
Could we? There are, because it's all to the roadway. Can we simplify these waivers to a waiver request on?
So a list of road waivers and a list of.
You know, can we waive? Could we make a waiver to waive the roadway, or should we just
So,
go through them one by one?
Unfortunately, it's not that simple
There's
because
only
we
21.
don't.
We can rip right through them.
Yeah.
I would just go through them as they're presented because the other
Okay.
aspect is the regulations state that a written request needs to be submitted to this board to act.
Makes sense. Okay, that's fair.
So number 1, I don't understand at all. Design review item number 1. Why is there a waiver for that? Why can't the applicant meet the 90-degree standard within 10 degrees on a driveway that's not built yet?
It's not for the driveways, sir. It's for the lot lines. And just the shape of Wilson Road makes it very hard to intersect the right-of-way line at radials and right angles, just because it kind of meanders all over the place as it goes down.
Got it. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions that are sticking out to them right now before we start to maybe deliberate some of these waivers?
You want to keep talking about the road?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
So do we want to, would we like to go section by section? Would we like to, before I start going through this whole thing, is there anything that the board would like to discuss?
So the only question that I have is if the town doesn't do anything, if it doesn't get on that maintenance list,
Mm-hmm.
the road's usable and there's not some severe thing that's going to happen if that happens? Because there's no guarantee, and
Correct.
that's the thing I'm worried about.
Correct. So I think the wearing course, correct, is your topping layer, is a wearing course, is just that, the course to handle all the day-to-day traffic that slowly deteriorates
So
over
it'll
time.
deteriorate faster.
That would then come to grinding down the wearing course and putting a new wearing course on, correct? Which is that,
So you don't want to leave the binder on there very long, Sean.
Gotcha.
The wearing, the binder has got larger aggregate in it.
So when you say very long, do you mean a year, 2 years?
Typically, you don't want it more than a year.
Okay. So does that mean that more or less the town would have to act on this regardless of what happens here?
I would say, given if we are to accept this as a binder course, it would be in the town's best interest to add this to their, I don't know what their maintenance schedule looks like, or as you heard, John has a list every year. It would be in the town of Londonderry's interest to absolutely put this as a priority on that list.
Okay.
I think I can help with that.
Sure.
So there's two things, one person's opinion. One, the department heads would have to get together and reprioritize their 5-year, 10-year, 1-year plan. Whatever plan they have in place, they would have to reprioritize to add this in because chances are it's not there.
Yep.
Or they can keep that the same and they can put a warrant article in to ask the taxpayers if they want to add for $5 million or whatever it's gonna be, $1 million, 500,000, I don't even know how much it's gonna be. Whatever amount it's gonna be, if the taxpayer is interested in adding that to their tax bill or not, in a warrant article. I believe those are the two options.
It was $650,000 a year, Sean, for 192 miles of road.
So let me ask this. Even if let's say the town doesn't do anything, we're still better off than we started.
I guess that's up to each member of the board. Personally, I think we're in a much better place than we are today.
That's all I need.
I think that a binder course, a brand new binder course is better than 30 years old, eroded.
Apparently any course.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there is no course now. Mr. D.
So let's keep talking about the road, please. So I'm looking at the letter. I was looking at the letter from Mr. Evans dated April 8th. It has 6 items in it and a little bit of a paragraph about the things that are what they're gonna do for the road.
Where are you?
Wilson Road improvements, it's an Outlook document.
Yep. Yep.
It says good morning, John, on the top of it, on the top of the letter. So, one of the things that we have to consider as a board is that we're putting a base coat on top of ground, earth, whatever's there, that we don't know what it is. Right? Because the applicant is saying that we're gonna top coat when we grind it, whatever's there, we're gonna put asphalt on top of it. Whereas if you were doing a true road project, you would dig that down, you would see what you have for a base layer to make sure it will support and not crack in 1, 2, 3, 5 years before the town and the taxpayers then put a top coat on top of it, but it's gonna fail because you don't have a good foundation, you don't have a good base, you don't have a good whatever. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that's something that the board has to consider as well, if you're interested in taking that on or not. That said, one person's opinion, at some point, we all are gonna have to start making some decisions, and I believe this is a great compromise. I think, like many people have said already, that it's, I don't know what % better, but certainly significantly better when they're done than before they start. It's gonna be a little bit tricky on how do you get the money for the top coat. I don't know how much that costs. It's 1,700 feet long and 20 feet wide. By top coat is 3 inches. You smash it down to 1.5 inches, give or take. Okay.
$60,000.
Okay.
Continental estimate.
For the top coat or the base?
The base is more money. Top coat about $69,000.
Thank you. So I think that's where we're at on the road. And so if everyone's happy with that, we can move on to these other items.
I think it's fair compromise. Ann?
I have a question for Mr. Trottier. Bancroft Road, that was in lousy condition. Did the contractor there, the builder, put in that road?
Absolutely. And this board required them to do it.
So this isn't a precedent, what we're...
In my opinion, it is.
And
It is.
Bancroft
It is.
Road is a two-way road. We have a two-way road standard. Wilson Road is a one-way road. We do not have a one-way road standard.
But you have construction material standard. This is not gonna follow any, as Tony indicated.
Yeah.
You grind the road, and as I've explained it, you grind the road, you add material to it. If there's material under there that's muck, peat, chase after it, remove it. You
I
got boulders,
understand
you got broomies in there, you remove those.
I understand that, but still, this is a one-way road, where we are applying a different constructability standard to a one-way road. If this was a two-way road, we would not be having this conversation at all.
So you would not, so, because it's a one-way road, you only take care of the drainage on the west side of the road. You don't care about the drainage on the east side.
No, I care about making an improvement, which hasn't happened in 20-some-odd years. That's what I care about. So I care about making a little bit of a difference, making a situation better than what's out there today. That's what I care about. And yes, that is drainage on one side of the road, the applicant side of the road. Do I think it's perfect? No, not at all. I think it's far from it. But I think, as we've mentioned and you've discussed, there is 0 plans for the town of Londonderry to address Wilson Road.
At this time.
I'm gonna find a way to address Wilson Road. Because since the town won't, I'm gonna find the planning board a way to do it. Because we don't get to have any say on roadway conditions, and it's a very hot topic right now. We, this planning board, has a chance to better a roadway. I'm gonna try and take it.
You go, Jake.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, John, if this went back for engineering review, would they start from scratch, and would we charge the applicant the full amount for engineering review, or would they look at the changes?
They would need direction from the board. So again, all they wanna do is grind, is just what he's describing, gonna grind the road, reshape it.
Yep.
There's gonna be no drainage on the east side of the road, a 2-foot box on the west side.
So let me ask the question a different way. So 75% of the plans are the same. If they were resubmitted, 75% of the plans are the same. 25% have changed based on the proposal they're making tonight, right?
Yeah.
Would they have to pay the full price for engineering review? Or would we charge them the full price, or would we charge them just for reviewing the changes?
Let's
And
back up a little bit. So-
just here's where I'm coming from, Kelly, before you answer that question. And that is, I think it's crazy to charge the whole amount, again, if we're asking them to review just some changes to the existing plans. And I'm also having a hard time getting my head around approving plans that haven't been approved, because these plans have changed since the last time they
So-
were put in for
I
engineering review.
guess,
Let me just, because we're gonna start getting.
Yep.
The way third-party review works is we receive an application for design, or sometimes formal first. We send it to third party, they develop a scope, right? It's got a scope from the first review all the way through to what they envision the number of reviews to be through signed plans. Sometimes that's less, sometimes it's more, depending on the quality of plans. In this case, that's why we're asking for clear direction from the board by way of any conditions and waivers that you're granting, because then we have a scope
correct,
that maybe they didn't identify before, but now we have established it.
correct.
In that scope, I don't know how many hours it's gonna take a PE, a wetland scientist, and whoever else to look at it, but at least they have the scope of, that's more narrow, I guess I would say, than looking at the full site plan and
And that's
subdivision
exactly what
regulation.
I'm trying to get.
So, when you say, are we gonna charge them the full cost, it's not necessarily that. So we already have an escrow established
Yep.
for this project.
Yep.
We continue to pull from that.
So,
I'm hesitant to say we won't need more, but
yeah, so what I'm hearing is, we really, and I think we need to ask to have the third party review the changes being proposed. Because I really think we need to be approving the
But-
latest set of plans that have been reviewed, and we're not doing that
So
tonight.
the only issue to that is, if we ask the third party to review the changes that have been made, they're going to review them off of a two-way road standard.
I understand that.
We need to condition it as to exactly
Yeah.
what we would like them to
Right.
review, is what we need to get down to.
And I'm good with that, but I
It's
think
usually
we,
subject to final engineering review, we need it subject to,
yep. And I'm good with that, but I think we need that third party review against the final set of plans.
that's fair,
And that way we know what we're deviating from, or we know what we're approving to.
that's fair.
Because like you're saying, though, too, Lynn, didn't take me very long to look at these plans, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
So again, if we send these plans to them today, they call that out, yeah.
Yeah, so my point there was the review won't be from scratch again. I mean, it's silly to think
No,
that.
it won't, but again, what ends up happening, though, is that these firms are one-man shows, so there is nobody else to check on this stuff. So as soon as he does something to this, it goes to Stantec or our third party,
Yep.
and they're doing the QA for him.
Mhm.
It's a known fact.
which the applicant's paying for.
Yep.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yep.
I understand that.
Yeah, I just think I'm not comfortable approving a set of plans that haven't, a final set of plans that haven't been submitted for
Yeah, I think-
final
So-
I think that's
third-party
what I'm getting
engineering
at.
review.
We need to approve this with very specific
So-
instructions as to what to review.
I want to clarify something else because we're using a lot of different terms and we have definitions for these things. You have a design plan in front of you, which we call a formal submission. When we talk about final plans, we're talking about the plans that were submitted in response to the conditions of approval. Then, when you talk about approved plans, we're talking about plans that are signed by the board.
Correct.
So there's essentially at least one more
Set of plans
review
before
and
this.
set
Correct.
before anything is signed. And I'm saying that
Correct.
for everyone's benefit,
Well,
not just because I know you understand that. I'm just saying it for the benefit of everyone watching in
Correct.
the room.
Mr. D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, here's the problem as I see it, which is why we have to be pointed in what we're telling whomever that we want. The third-party reviewer or the town is going to get a stack of plans to review. In order to figure out what's changed, the reviewer is going to have to start from page 1 and make sure nothing's changed on page 1. He's going to have to look at page 2 and make sure nothing's changed on page 2. And then, you see what I'm saying? So how do you propose, because it could even be a different person that's looking at it this time than it was the last time, right? Maybe, give or take.
Unlikely,
Okay.
Unlikely.
But I'm just looking at it logistically, saying if it were me, all of a sudden I get a new set of plans,
Well,
And go, where do I
start?
Yeah.
we already require them to provide any changes in red or highlight.
Yeah, it needs to be certain bubbled
But
out, clouded out.
The reviewer is going to, still has to check that.
To
So
make sure that
if
nothing
they
else has
missed highlighting
changed.
something, yeah, they're still doing a full review.
Because once the plan is signed, that's what the town is
Correct.
stuck with.
Correct.
So,
But I mean, so you could apply that scenario you could apply that scenario to any conditional approval, right?
Right.
Like
It's the same exact process.
okay.
there's still a Q&A or QA/QC process. The ask that I am asking the board of is just be very, very clear as to what
Correct.
the condition is, so that way when we do that QA/QC, they have exactly what they're comparing it to, since they don't necessarily have a specific section 3 whatever to cite.
And I think we can do that. I think we have the skill on this board to be able to do that.
I do too. So, I think a good starting point would be Charlie's letter to see. Do we want to start with that, or do we want to? How would you guys like to start? Do you want to start with Charlie's letter, or do you want to go section by section?
Can you restate what we're going to try to accomplish?
So,
Is there a reason we're not just going through the waivers, if that's what we're going to do? Because a lot of these.
because I'm trying to get to what I'm trying to do is identify the specifics that, upon a conditional approval, what the specific review is going to be. So I think we need to sit here, go through this and say, this does not need to be reviewed. This does need to be reviewed. For instance, the actual dimensions of the roadway, right? They would be reviewing it to something that makes no sense to review a two-way road standard. So what I'm gonna ask us to do is review what we have. We don't have a standard. Okay, we've reviewed these. We've already noted some of the adjustments that need to be made. You can see your 10-foot lines are missing on a few of these. Let's do that now and say, we are comfortable with the road. The road is not going to be reviewed by the engineer. Drainage. He had concerns about drainage. Not necessarily something that I feel as though we can answer. Okay, let us have the engineer review and verify that the drainage that the applicant is proposing is going to meet what is required of it, whatever the flow rates are and this and that. So we have now identified,
On one side of the road.
on one side of the road, correct, we have now identified something we want the reviewer to review with a conditional approval. To her point, the other side of the road, the board needs to see, are we comfortable with not putting drainage on the other side of the road? If we are, there's nothing for the applicant, there's nothing for the third party to review about drainage on the other side of the road, with the exception of the 2 culverts that got put in.
So at the end of this, are we essentially establishing a standard for a one-lane road?
We're establishing a standard for Wilson Road.
But does that set a precedent that if somebody is that the other one-lane roads, or if somebody wants to build a one-lane road, does that can they go back and say, well, this is what you allowed these guys to
I don't
do?
think so at all, because this is an existing road
That is getting rebuilt.
that is getting rebuilt. There's 2 other one-ways in the town of Londonderry, and they're about as long as this room is from property.
I agree, but there is a potential that
Correct.
somebody could
In-
build a development
with a one-way
with a
going all
public
over.
road that is one way and come to us and say, well, this is what you allowed these guys to do.
So the standard should be for existing, not for.
So
for construction.
exactly, this is a
This is for an
standard for an
existing standard.
existing one-way roadway. That is actually exactly what we're creating.
Okay.
I think this is a standard.
I
for
just
Wilson
wanted
Road.
to
Yeah.
clarify that that's
Absolutely.
what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And can I,
Yeah.
see, as someone kind of does this work, our main focus right now is the other side of the road, which you're gonna add drainage culverts to get the water away from. $50,000 in top coat and the flow rate of the retention pond. Those are the 3 major problems that we're ultimately looking at right now.
Yep.
Those aren't major problems. Okay. I do this work for a living. It's not major problems. I cater to the state of Massachusetts public on major roadways on a daily basis. You're gonna put culverts to divert water where there is water problems on the side you don't own. And now our biggest problem is to be end of the flow, right? This should be we should be able to,
Correct.
set a standard.
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
are we able to direct them directly? Because when I've worked with engineers in the past, I've asked them to do specific things, but they still look at everything. I mean,
Well,
can we be very specific with them to only look
Yes, and just to
at? Okay.
be completely transparent, everyone loves that word. The contract with third party and Stantec is with the planning board. It's between the
Correct.
planning board
Correct.
and third party.
Correct.
We have staff that
Is the
are
middleman.
professional staff, you pay us to do
Correct.
this, that we communicate based on our regulations, which are the planning board regulations.
Correct.
As to what they review, that's encompassed in the contract. But yes, the planning board has the ability to have say and give some direction as to what that details. I am gonna say one thing about precedent. Planning boards do set precedent. If someone comes forward in the future with a one-way road, similar situation, they have the opportunity to make an argument based on this discussion or any other discussion that may have been had all the way back to 2000, whenever this started. So just keep that in the back of your minds. That applies to any conditional approval,
Correct.
any approval or discussion that you have in this
Correct.
setting.
Correct.
So yes, you always set a precedent when you make a decision and have any type of, you're a quasi judicial board when you make decisions like that. You're setting some level of precedent, and anybody in the future has the opportunity to raise that point and try and make a case for, you did this in situation A, why aren't you doing this in situation B?
Correct.
And we need to make sure that we can defend it at that time.
Correct.
And I think to that point, Mr. Chair, I think the caveat would be, in our discussion and in our written format, we're gonna add the phrase "to an existing road," or "because it's an existing road," or whatever. So to make it very, very clear, as many times as we can write that phraseology, so that somebody coming in with a new development making a one-way road can't say, well, look what you did. And we can say, but you have a new road, that was an existing road.
Correct.
And I think we would have some standing.
I think if you enumerate the specifics for this, that couldn't be applied to any other road, you're probably on safer ground.
So let's play this out on how we would make these conditions.
So my thought is, step one, we go through our plans here, you know, from page 9 to 13 maybe. 9 through 13, 9 through 12, excuse me, which discuss cross sections of the roadway, and we as a board need to make a decision on, you know, 1 plus 58, begin construction. Is the board comfortable with that cross section? B, the first thing I see, you guys are missing your 10-foot delineations, which are 20 foot all the way across the road on there. So that would have to be identified and adjusted to what we've discussed tonight before you can get a signed approval on a plan. And go through these one by one, get through there. From that, personally, I think we have addressed the roadway. The other question, at this point, it was 3 questions: roadway, drainage. I'm not confident that we can necessarily completely answer, and do feel as though we need to specify exactly what we would like the engineer to review on the drainage. And from there, the board needs to look at the binder coat versus wearing course conversation and make a decision on that as to how the board would like to proceed with that. From there, we can now create conditions where they're needed. We can address waivers that are in here now and vote on a conditional approval with all the conditions that are noted. An example of, again, this might, it's backwards, but it's not. Through the third-party review of the drainage, say the drainage doesn't meet, you know, X, Y, and Z, that would have to be, there's 1 or 2 things that could happen. The client, the applicant, can say, okay, we will meet this condition, we will meet what has been noted, or they can say, we would like to go to the planning board and discuss waiving this. So even if there is something inside of the third-party application through discussion of drainage that maybe the applicant doesn't agree with, if they don't agree with it and they don't want to meet that condition, then it has to come back here, and then the board can say, meet the condition or waive the condition. So it's still going to end up back in the board if there's any of these items that through this review are identified as something that would say they're not meeting this requirement, they would need a waiver from this. The applicant has 2 choices: meet the requirement or come back to the board. So if there is an issue, we see it again, it comes back to this board. And that's why we need to come out of here. I know we've said we're a little uncomfortable making decisions on approvals and whatnot. We need to almost come out of here with the approval, so that way we can get to this next step.
So let's make a distinction between drawing errors and engineering errors.
Sure.
I'm not a PE,
Yep.
so I'm not comfortable at all going through and reviewing any of these plans in this form. But I think what you identified was a drawing error. It may not be an engineering problem. It may be an engineering problem. I don't think we're qualified here to look at these plans and make engineering decisions whether or not there's problems here. We can look for drawing errors. No offense to the applicants, but I'm sure there's more drawing errors in there that we haven't found. And I say this, I like the project too. I would really like to approve the project tonight, but I can't approve these plans. Just because I don't think we're qualified to do what you're asking us to do.
And I don't know how we get to that point without us making some decisions is the issue.
I think going back to third-party review.
Yeah.
But
And then
again,
My
you
2
can
cents.
bring the
but again,
third-party
what are they,
engineer
what
with.
is the review? We need to approve. We need to
I'd say
approve.
just go back and we know exactly what we're deviating from the town standard. And I think that's an important distinction that we have to make before we approve these plans. We know what we're deviating against. Right now, we don't. My
We
2
do
cents.
to a degree with.
To a degree.
Correct.
But,
Correct.
but a degree is not 100%.
I understand.
Okay.
It needs to be 100%.
Lynn,
This thing, hold on, real quick. This thing is never gonna be 100%. There's nothing to review it on, so we gotta
No,
get
I
it as close as we.
understand.
You
No.
just said we need to get this 100%.
100% review. 100% review.
As close as possible.
I think it's
In-
there.
in
I
our-
think it's
our
there.
opinion.
I think it's there, and we need to make decisions on it. What that decision is, that's up to each board member, but I think it's at a point where we need to make a decision. We need to then create, if the decision is an approval, we need to then create the very specific conditions, which, to your point, Lynn, the engineering of the roadway, that specific condition is going to be that the engineer needs to verify that, where's the first page on this thing?
The blueprint for what we
The correct. The engineer then needs to verify what is on the front page of this plan, which shows you exactly how they are gonna engineer this roadway. So the engineer needs to come to this and say, here's the engineering plan for the roadway. Yes, all of this meets what they're saying, but we have to get it there because there's, it's never done.
So, I will say I'm kind of making you go around in circles, and that's not my intent either. I don't know if we want to take a motion that we proceed the way you want us to, and then my discussion becomes moot. I don't have a problem with that either, but right now, I just want you to know where I stand in terms of this.
Fine.
And I do like the project too. That's the silly thing about it.
Lynn, I personally agree with you, and I do really like the project. What if we sent it to third party, and I don't know if this is an even possibility, Kelly, John, let me know. If we sent it to third party with the understanding that what comes back as getting flagged as not meeting a 2-lane road just is with the understanding that, okay, you're going to come back and you're going to say that this does not meet the 2-lane road standard. We're going to turn around and say,
They should not be reviewing the two-way road standard. We need to identify that they need to review the standard to page 1 on this plan.
So I think we're all in favor of sending it to a third-party review. Jake, you're just asking for us to give them some definition as we go through these waivers.
I think we need to, as a board, get it to the finish line. If the board so comes up with an approval, again, we have to vote on an approval. If it's voted on an approval, that approval is gonna outline exactly what needs to be reviewed by third party.
Because if we sent it without that, it's gonna come back just looking similar.
It's gonna come back looking exactly like this, and that's why I'm saying, because I've had this conversation for like 10 years now, that's why I'm saying, we need to make a decision. The board either needs to approve this or deny it. If the board approves it, the board needs to set the specifics as to what is being engineered, and then know that between approval tonight and signed plan, when it comes to signed plan, there is a process of that is gonna verify that this engineering matches what the applicant is going to do, which the board needs to decide if we are accepting the pavement widening section, what that's gonna look like. And then from there, the engineer is gonna go, okay, I need to verify this right here, not the Londonderry two-way road standard, none of that. He needs to verify this right here to everything else in this plan. And if something comes up, if he's going through this and he says, this part of the plan is not showing a 20-foot wide roadway with, the proposed slopes that they're saying they're doing, there's two things that can happen. The applicant goes, yes, I agree with the third-party engineer, we're going to redesign our plans to reflect that, or no, we disagree, we would like to come to the board and discuss a waiver. So again, but in order for us to get there, if we so choose, we need to make an approval on it. That's the only way we're ever getting there, or it's gonna be this meeting over and over and over again. Because at the end of the day, this needs to come from us.
And what do you propose for standards? This right here?
This is what we need to go through. Is the board comfortable with, which I don't think we're quite there yet.
Quite there yet.
In terms of, we haven't discussed this yet, but we need to get an idea of, is the board comfortable with what they are proposing for a standard? We need to identify tonight if we expect a change to that standard.
What sheet are you looking at?
This is the cover page, front page, which is technically sheet 7. Shows you exactly what they're, from slopes to, it's showing you the roadway improvement. So we need to decide if that roadway improvement is going to be acceptable. Once we do that, if we through an approval, we can change this, we can make a condition to say, no, we don't accept this, we want one more thing on top of what you're proposing. We can make that condition and approve it, and then the engineer is looking at this right here. Because if we don't do that, what the engineer is gonna do tomorrow is go to our regulations and pull up the two-way road standard and come back with the same 75 things they've come back with for 10 years. That is what we need to do tonight.
when we do get the waivers back, or if we go through them tonight or whatever, I would think it'd be helpful if they were grouped. These are the waivers about the road, so we can say, okay, we're okay with the road because these are all two-way standards. We're going to approve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like we can read them, but meaning so we can group them all together because they're all kind of all over the place. There are some drawing errors, and so okay, this is for the drawing errors. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Is that? I think this would be helpful and would facilitate things quicker.
That's fair. I think we need to address something Lynn spoke about. I don't know that a motion is what is needed, Lynn, as much as it is a consensus. So we need a Were you about to talk, Kelly?
I was just gonna say, so you don't need a motion to move
Correct.
forward with your
We need a
deliberation.
consensus.
If
Correct.
you want, as chair, if you
Correct.
want to proceed with deliberations, you've asked the board to do that.
Correct.
Not all of you have to participate, not all of you have to agree during that discussion.
Correct.
So if you as chair are moving forward and you want to talk about sheet 7 and you're looking for feedback from the board on sheet 7, do that, and then go to 8.
Correct.
And so on.
So does the board want to deliberate?
Yes.
Got yeses, I got a lot up and down. So the board does want, and I understand what you
Oh,
said.
that's fine.
You don't want to deliberate, but you're willing to participate if that's what how the board would like to proceed, correct? Okay. So, that said, before we get to any, of the, geez, I'm losing my
Waivers?
words here. Yeah, before we get to waivers and any of the cross sections here, let's discuss step 1, which is the roadway. Page 7, sheet 7, on this, the applicant has identified what their roadway cross section is going to be. It's going to be 10 feet on each side of the crown, so a 20-foot roadway in total. There's going to be a 2-foot shoulder on it's the westerly side of
Westerly
Wilson
side.
Road. There's going to be a 2-foot shoulder on the westerly side of Wilson Road, and then adequate sloping down and then up, which we can see through all the cross sections. And then on the right-hand side, it looks like, what am I seeing? You got a
It's just
2-foot.
the existing grade.
So is that a 2-foot shoulder that would be getting installed to an existing grade, or you're saying there's 2 feet between? There's just 2 existing feet between the edge of the road and what does that 2 feet dictate?
That 2 feet is basically. I guess on that side, the 2 foot needs to just go away. It just needs to
It
say the
should be.
existing grade.
To existing grade, correct?
Existing grade, John, doesn't go necessarily fall.
No. Existing grade could be down or up.
So John, you've heard about an hour of discussion thus far.
Yep.
There's quite a few things on this that needs to be cleaned up on this plan, right? When I look at the sections, centerline elevations don't match whatsoever. Centerline is totally off. So when we get into that, you and I can talk turkey, but I think we're gonna lose them. So when you're showing the center line of the road, the crown is, 5 feet off center line. The center line elevation's a screw ball.
Let me ask you this, do we need a crown in the road?
Yeah, you do.
That's
We
being
do.
intelligent.
Does Harvey Road, one way, have a crown in the road?
I believe it does.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
Does McAllister Drive have a crown in the road?
Did you put
No, it does
put a
not.
smart level on it, Jake?
I tell you what, this smart level right here, you see that one eye?
Yeah.
It's a pretty smart level.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, there is, if there's a
those-
crown, it's very
Those are
little.
things that are gonna come back with as comments, right? Looking at station
I already said there was a
4.00.
crown. I'm just asking a question, because he's arguing about crown.
Not arguing, I'm stating. a
Okay,
fact.
stating, you're stating about crown.
Yeah, and the
So
crown's
just
not
So
specified.
procedurally, the board's deliberating.
Correct.
Are you looking to
I'm
have a
looking
back
for
and forth?
input, I'm looking for input from the board
Okay.
as to understanding the basics of this page 7 cross-section. Is the board comfortable with a crown in the middle of the road, a 20-foot wide road, a 2-foot shoulder on the west side, followed by appropriate sloping that is identified in each one of these, which are a little bit different depending on the cross-section, is the board comfortable saying, yes, we're good with the constructability of that, which is reclaiming the entire road, repaving the entire road with a binder coat, creating a 2-foot shoulder on their side of the road, a full-depth box in the areas that are highlighted in blue. If you remember the couple plans, they've got a few areas that are not currently 2 feet. Creating that, not currently 20 feet, excuse me, creating that 20 feet by fully boxing it out with 6 inches of crushed gravel and a 12-inch gravel subbase. Is the board comfortable saying, yes, we will accept this for the constructability part of this road?
No,
Why?
because I think we have an engineer to do that.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the experience and the knowledge like these two people who looks like they could work together to resolve things.
And
We
my-
don't have the
my
experience.
only question to that is we have, I'm gonna say this till I'm blue in the face. We have an engineer who works off of engineering standards. We, this town, the planning board, the engineer, has nothing to work off of because we don't have a standard. If this was a 2-lane road that is engineered to town spec, I would agree wholeheartedly with you. But we need to give some sort of guidance as to what the expectation is. Because the town engineer has nothing to review this off of. The board needs to make some decisions. He's got nothing to review this off of.
And you don't all have to agree, just
Oh, I agree.
reiterate it.
I agree. I'm making it clear. Like I said, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. As blue as your shirt. The town engineer does not have anything to review this to. And I don't know how many other different ways I can say it.
I just think he knows good design. He would be more apt to come up with the right answer.
This is the problem. His design is a 2-way road standard. That's his design. That is the engineer's job, to work off the regulations and the standards. His design is a 2-way road standard. It's not what we're doing here.
Could you zoom that
Can
picture?
I ask him something? Oh, go ahead. Lynn, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I have a question for the applicant.
Okay.
So, zooming in on here, can you tell me what that second black line is? It looks like it's almost a hash line. It looks like there's 2 layers between the binder course and the existing subgrade. And I only see a description of one. In the,
You're asking
Yeah, so my-
this section right there, Lynn, right?
yeah. So I see the 6 inches of reclaimed pavement, but it looks like there's, that should be 2 layers of something, and it just doesn't say what it is.
Well, John, was that your original cross-section? You showed-
That's the original cross section. What it is, I mean, normally you would say exactly what each layer of those lower layers are.
Yep.
And instead of identifying exactly what each of those lower layers are, we're doing existing. We're doing a mill of the entire road. So basically the dark 2.5-foot binder course, we're milling and we're going to recompact whatever the base is. We're not going to pull it up and do each layer individually like you normally would construct a road.
So the drawing indicates to me that there's 2 layers beneath the binder course.
Yeah,
Before
normally
you
that's
get-
what you would see on a brand new road.
Before you get to the existing subgrade. So, just once again, you got another drawing error there, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not gonna be-
To make it exactly right of what we're talking about, I would basically take away it would just show existing subgrade all the way up to the bottom of the pavement.
And no discussion of the reclaimed substrate beneath it.
No, he would. That's how he would.
No, that
That's
would
how
be
you
how
follow it
it's,
out.
that would be how it's done.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the existing base or whatever is there, and the reclaimed asphalt, and then the,
If I'm
I'm
understanding, let me work with this real
Yep.
quick. If I'm understanding, that would essentially become one thing. Existing, it would just all be
existing subgrade.
that is going to be ground.
The surface is going to be ground off completely,
Yep.
and basically what you end up recompacting the whole thing.
Yeah, they'll grade it, put a crown in it, compact it, and this is, and, that'll be done after all the ditch work is done, and then they, put a binder coat on it, on a new crown. And just to point out, John,
Can you step up to the mic?
Yeah, go up to the mic.
It just doesn't, Charlie, it doesn't look like the way it's being described. The picture doesn't indicate to me the way it's being described.
But John, you made a point about not knowing what's under there. We discussed on the sidewalk that the agreement was if we grind it, we grind what's there, leave it alone, regrade it, and go over it.
If we needed to add some material, Charlie, we would add material when we met that Thursday.
Right, but it's not talking
We
about.
weren't there that day that I met with Roki and Mark.
But you weren't talking about boxing the whole thing out.
No.
Okay, I just want to make clear on that. Okay.
Yeah. But again, like Lynn is saying, Lynn's a layman and he's catching it.
I know there's not a one-way standard in this town. It's obvious in your experience by doing this work. And I know the answer to this. I'm asking you. What is the width of a common one-way road in most areas? Everybody's got a different set of standards in each town. What's the common size, though?
I don't know if there is a common size.
12
I mean, I would say 18 is a more common, is a common size.
12 feet is what's required at minimum.
Okay.
You're talking lane width is what you're talking about.
Yep.
That's what I require minimally for anything that I touch. So we're looking at 20 for the whole entire run, right?
Yep.
That we're going to call that a one-lane run.
Yep, correct.
That was based on fire standards.
Yeah, that was based on the fire department discussions, making sure they could make all the turns with their trucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, understanding how they are going to construct this, yes, there is a little bit of cleanup that will need to be happening here. Does the board want to discuss anything outside of what is proposed? Does the board feel as though there needs to be anything additional to what they're proposing, which is grinding the roadway, existing pavement being reclaimed with a six inches deep, 2.5 inches of pavement binder course, a full depth box out in the areas shown, which are the areas in blue on the plan, a 2-foot shoulder with a 12-foot gravel subbase. Is there anything that the board would like to see that is 20 feet wide? Is there anything that the board would like to see added to the roadway?
No, but to be clear, the schematic that we're looking at, that blue hashed area on the left of the plan as we're looking at it, is the west side of the road, correct?
Yes, sir.
As you're going down the one-way, yes.
And the right, as we're looking at it, right next to the 811 DigSafe logo, that's the east side of the road.
Easterly side of the road.
Existing.
Just whatever existing, yes.
So my question is, if we're putting in 2 culverts, and by we I mean you, I'm putting in 2 culverts, if we're gonna leave the east side existing, how's the water gonna get to the culvert?
As you come down and around the hill, we actually did grade two little contours to get the water to go off the road into that. I mean, there's very limited grading right around those entrances. In general, like if you're going down.
Can you show us where those are on the plan, please?
What's that?
Can you show us where those are on the plan, please?
Yeah, like if you look at sheet 7.
Yep.
Those back slopes, John, what are they? 4 to 1s, 3 to 1s, 2 to 1s?
It should be 3 to 1.
Again, it's 3 to 1 or it needs to be real crap. So typically,
If you zoom in right to where it says right away, like right where the culvert is.
typically, Tony, when you look at the cross sections, that's how you see how the drainage is flowing.
So if I'm seeing that That culvert, is
you have
that
to go-
at
you have to
cross-section
angle
8
over.
plus 50?
There it is.
That culvert is between 850 and 90.
So what you typically do, Jake, is you ask them to do a cross-section across.
Correct.
Cross-section right at that one.
So part of this condition would be to identify a cross-section for each culvert. Make sense?
Yeah, and I think it needs to, if it's gonna stay existing, the plan will need to show how many feet of existing is gonna divert water in that direction or not. You know what I'm saying? So if it's gonna stay existing,
Where is it gonna go on the, where's it gonna come on
Where's the
and
water,
off the road?
where's the water gonna go? Show me on the east side of the road, because it's not being touched, show me where the water is gonna go based on when the work is done and the road is finished, the base coat is finished, where's the, what's happening on the east side with flow? Okay, they're cutting back the huge corner, which is great, but I've
On
seen.
the west side.
On the, sorry?
On the west side,
On
we're
the west
cutting
side,
back
yeah.
the embankment on the west side.
Understood. But I've seen it where, when everybody was done, the water went the wrong way. The culvert's over there and the water went that way, because the detail wasn't there that was shown what you gotta do. And so, I think that needs to be shown so that we have some clarity on what we're approving.
Yep. Does the board feel as though that's fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the question is, does it make it worse or does it make it better than what exists right now?
Correct. So we need to, that would be a condition.
And I'm not saying anything other than, when they're done, plans should show where the water is drifting to.
I agree with you.
And that should be relatively easy
to figure out. So Kelly, if you're keeping any sort of note here, that would be a condition if we get to that point. I'm sure there will be plenty of reviewing this tape to come up with the exact conditions, so. But Mr. D, to your point, I would agree, and I think that's a fair condition that needs to be met on these plans, is to identify, leaving the existing conditions and the upgrades at the culverts, where the water's going.
On the east side.
On the east side, correct, thank you. Is that fair, board?
Yep.
Okay. I haven't heard anything that is an issue with the roadway. I do have a question. When looking at the page 7 cut of the roadway, if you will, which it actually says the right-of-way varies, all that good jazz. You have a section of blue that is underneath your pavement. That section of blue, is that specific to the areas on the plan that are highlighted in blue? So
Correct.
To clarify a little bit more, the entire roadway is going to have the section of blue that is not underneath the asphalt. The section of blue that is under the asphalt, which that width is going to vary depending on where it is what's called out on plans 7 and 8 that have your widened section areas. That's what that section of blue is, indicating that in those areas that the width varies to get you to 20 feet, in those areas you'll have a full depth box of 6-inch crushed gravel, as areas shown 6-inch crushed gravel, that are indicated on the plan in blue. So, just to say it for a third time, because Mr. D told me something a long time ago, that in order to remember anything, you need to hear it 3 times, 3 different ways. Your area in blue that is not underneath the asphalt is typical for the entire plan.
Correct.
Your area of blue that is under the asphalt is going to vary and only be in the locations that have been chosen and are outlined in the plan as highlighted sections in blue that say widen area, see sections, That's where that change would be, that variable width of the
Correct.
full box depth.
Correct, because what's happening in the areas on page 7 and 8, where we have a blue widening section, there is no road base in those areas. So to put a road in that area, we absolutely need to box it out and create a full road base underneath that.
Correct.
What we're saying is, everywhere where there's already pavement has some sort, in theory, has some sort of road base that's been put down before the road was put in.
Correct. So, and again, because this page 7 cut section is showing us the spirit of what we're trying to do with the whole plan, that area in blue, just that's underneath the road base, will vary. You know, it looks like it's very minimal in the sections to the left of page 7. It might only be a foot or so. In the sections on the right side of page section, that looks like that might be 5 or 6 feet. So that varies depending on whatever needs to get you to 20 feet of constructed pavement.
Correct.
Does the board understand that and comfortable with it?
So John, what's your cut back into the pavement? Is that's what you're showing, right, in your typical section? Your blue that.
Oh, yeah, how far do you need to cut back?
There you go. So what is it? Dimension it. What's the crown of the road?
You'd have to have at least 1 foot cut back on the pavement.
Yeah, so that needs to be shown. You need to show the crown of the road, 2% minimum. Carries over through the shoulders.
Mr. D, you look like you had something.
When you stretch one side of the road, it changes the center line, and that's not shown.
We haven't gotten there yet, Tony.
Correct.
What's that?
We haven't gotten there yet. That's what I was talking about, the center line.
Correct.
On the
Right,
sections.
I'm just looking at the blue area, and it just jumped out at me again. We've had the discussion before.
Yeah.
The center line has to change otherwise, well, whatever. We've been through this.
So part of what helps is when we were doing just an overlay of it, there was no center lines getting fixed whatsoever. When we're doing a full grind and regrade and recompact of it, we actually can make the center line greatly improved compared to what anything we've proposed before.
Right. But you understand what I'm saying? The center line is gonna move. If you're widening that section, the center line is gonna move. The same amount.
If you're widening it 2 feet,
Yeah,
the center line's moving 2 feet.
Yeah, and when we were doing just an overlay, that was really exasperating the issue. Like we were not fixing the center line. We were making the center line go back and forth dramatically. When we grind and do the whole thing, we can actually control that dramatically better.
And put some geometry to the center line.
Yep.
And to Mr. D, to your point, again, if the board so chooses to approve this, they'll have to reflect, well, it doesn't necessarily reflect it right now in the plan. They're gonna have to reflect that center line is in fact center to the pavement. So these will adjust to reflect that. I agree. I feel like we're pretty comfortable with the road. Does anybody have any more questions on the roadway?
I think we're really set, I think we'll have a third-party engineer give an opinion on
An opinion to what?
our road standards.
We don't have a standard for it. Again,
Well-
you got a blue shirt on too. What, blue in the face with the blue shirts today. We do not have a road standard for this. We are creating a standard, which we are going to tell the engineer, we want you to review this. So it's not our road
Okay,
standard.
so it will be reviewed.
Correct.
That's all I
It will
need to know.
be reviewed to this road standard, or I shouldn't even say standard. It will be reviewed to what we are expecting.
I understand.
Correct.
I just wanted to hear
Correct.
that, definitely.
Yes.
So, very good.
And
Since we have Division Chief Brian Johnson here, and last time we went over the plans, not this past time, but before in the past, we've had him comment about how a fire truck would handle this road. Could we ask him if he has any comments to make? Because we talked about the outriggers and everything back then. I'd like to know if he has anything to add to this.
Mr. Johnson, the floor is yours, sir.
And thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
Hi, Brian Johnson, Division Chief Fire Prevention. My concerns are I'm thrilled to see that we're getting up to the 20-foot minimum width that's required by NFPA. My concerns are, as Ann mentioned, our aerial ladder is 18 feet wide with the outriggers put out. So, I mean, obviously, if something happens up there, we're shutting the road down. But what I would like information on is from the engineers, Stantec, whether it's from the town, whoever, what happens if we don't put that final coat of pavement on that roadway and we put our outriggers out? Are they going to go right through this binder course? What are we going to do to it? Are we going to destroy that roadway? That's our aerial truck's very heavy. We lift it up on those outriggers. All the weight of that truck is put on 4 little pads. So, I'm not sure. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. The NFPA says whatever roadway is there has to hold the weight of a fire truck. I don't know if that will or not. So that's my only concern. The width of it, I'm glad we're getting to the 20 feet because that is an NFPA standard. Fixing some of the corners will definitely help us. I haven't seen these plans, but just from what I'm looking at, it looks like we should be able to get our apparatus through there easier than what's existing. But my main concern is just, if the town doesn't do something with the roadway, how long is this going to last for us?
Brian, could you give me the NFPA standard again, please, on, I believe it's what'd you say, 20 feet, and what's the requirement? It has to hold a fire truck?
Hold the weight of a fire truck.
Is there a metric to that?
It's
not really, it just says.
It's an engineer that says this designed roadway can hold this amount of weight, is what we've had in the past.
Is it common for our plans to say roadway will handle X amount of weight?
No. The gravel, the 12 and 6 inches of gravel, that'll hold the weight of a.
Say that again.
The sub base of 12 and 6 inches, 18 inches of material will hold the weight of a fire truck. Brian has a point though. When you put out those outriggers, it has a tendency again to break that binder much quicker than.
Understandable. Again, point of the wearing course is to handle. As a professional engineer, can Wilson Road today handle the weight of a fire truck?
In my opinion, yes.
So do you think any improvement to that would still continue to allow it to handle the weight of a fire truck?
Hopefully it will. Again, sometimes, Jake, when you start moving things around and you start, moving groundwater and you start disturbing things, it comes to the surface.
Fair.
So,
Mr. D.
I have a geometry question for the division chief, if that's okay. So these homes, as I understand it, are going to be lower than street level. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Not necessarily.
Okay. I thought
they'll be sitting at whatever the topography is, and in a lot of cases the topography goes up and away from Wilson Road on that side.
Okay, I thought it was I must be thinking the other side of the road. I thought I remembered that some of these homes will be below the grade of the street.
If the place that the final house goes is sitting in an existing condition that's lower than the road, then it would be, but the placement in general, I think, is mostly above the road.
but again, we don't dictate, the board doesn't dictate where, because as you know.
Understood. Yeah, I'm just trying to do some geometry in my head here to figure out. I was thinking if we have a house below the grade of the road, then why do we need the aerial ladder? We're already on the roof. You see where I was going? So, but that said,
well, if you have a building,
also look like 100-foot driveways too, give or take. No.
But it would
Some
also,
of them are.
Yeah, some of them are 100-foot driveways, so you're not gonna hit it from the road anyway. But you're still gonna have all your equipment out there.
and the truck might not be for one of the new, maybe for one of the existing houses that are in there.
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
So I think, based off of comments that the road today can withstand a fire truck, the road tomorrow that has improvements to it will be able to handle a fire truck. I would agree that there is potential to harm the binder course of the roadway without your finished course on. That said,
You make an argument that even with a binder course, it could.
what I'm getting at is if there was a wearing course on there, there's potential to damage the wearing course, correct? So the potential to damage the pavement is the same, whether there's a binder course or a wearing course.
100-degree day and 4 pivot points on how heavy's your?
Yeah,
your
you're
18-foot
making it
wide?
hard.
60 without water. What is she weigh?
I'd have to look it up.
60,000.
Closer to 70, I believe.
Yeah, you're gonna put your 4 points through just about anything.
Fair.
Especially on a road without gravel underneath.
Yeah.
It does. It has something underneath.
Well, yeah, we think.
So, but yes, yep.
Will these houses need fire sprinklers because of the proximity or not to the fire station?
New Hampshire, we cannot require residential sprinklers. It is actually banned in the state of New Hampshire. What we can require is any new structures that go in have to provide a water source, which could be hydrants, which could be cisterns. If the developer proposes sprinklers, that is always an option, but that's not something we can require.
I think the plan would indicate that, doesn't it, Rob?
I was about to try to interject. Yeah, note 21 on the submitted plan states that there will be sprinkler systems.
So that each house will have its own independent sprinkler system, which is traditionally, in the basement, there's what, a 300
gallon tank,
in the
depending on the
basement.
size of the house.
That would feed sprinklers in each one of the houses and so on and so forth. So each one of these are going to have a level of fire suppression.
Correct.
That is specific to the house.
Correct.
But correct me if I'm wrong. You're not building houses, though, right? Are you actually going to build the houses?
No, but it being a requirement of the site plan, being a note of the site plan, they would have to build the house to whatever is on the site plan.
Okay.
Well, let's be careful with that, because again, once these plans are approved, it goes to the building department for a building permit. They don't necessarily show that there's going to be a cistern in that, or sprinkler system in that.
Would the building department not go and inspect to verify that there's a sprinkler system?
There may not be, they may not submit their building permit to the building department indicating that it will be sprinkled. So when Charlie sells that to John Trotter, who's a cheap builder, I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna put a sprinkler in there, it's gonna cost me $1,000.
Yep.
So again, that requirement shown on the subdivision plan gets lost.
My question to that, though, would be, how does that not come up in the inspection process? If I was building a house, wouldn't the building inspector pull up the site plan for the house?
No.
What's the review prior to certificate of occupancy?
For a single-family home, the only time I get involved if there is residential sprinklers. So if there's no residential sprinklers, it's all up to the building department.
So the building department would need to inspect that it meets the requirements of the site plan, no?
You have to make sure that.
Correct. So it would be in the building department's court to verify that whatever is being proposed meets what is required by the site plan and essentially.
I guess if they don't want to propose it, then they come back to this board.
If whoever's building it says, I don't want to put sprinklers in, they'd have to come back to the board.
Yeah, we've had this before. Delphi Way, right off of Route 102, the duplexes that had gone in. They were originally proposed with residential sprinklers. Another developer bought out the development. He came back before the board, and they put in a 30,000-gallon cistern instead.
Yep.
So, but that was,
Probably more, I'm about to sneeze. It was probably more cost effective for the developer to meet the spirit of what they were doing by saying we're gonna put in one community system as opposed to individual for each house. But, so nonetheless, there was still a process that they followed where they were deviating off of the plan. They had to come to the board.
I'm surprised you can't mandate it. I've been in at least three different developments in Salem that every single house was sprinkled.
When they passed this law a few years ago, if a community already had a ordinance requiring residential sprinklers in that community, then those are still valid.
Got it.
Any town that didn't have a ordinance like Londonderry, we cannot pass one.
Got it. Thank you. That answers the question. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. Anything else for Mr. Johnson?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I feel as though we've got our answers to the roadway. Mr. D, you led into drainage a little bit. It sounds to me that you want to verify using cross sections of the roadway to be added to the plan what each cross section for the areas of drainage look like, and then you would like to also verify on the plan where the water is going with the existing roadways.
On the east side.
On the east side of the roadway.
If we do have the third-party review of the drainage, that's gonna get accounted for, because when we did the drainage report, I mean, in order to be able to size our ponds, we did try to estimate what drainage from the east
How
side of the
much
road
water would
is
be
getting
actually
into
from
those
it.
areas. So that is included in our drainage report already.
Great. Thank you.
And how did you account for anything outside of the right-of-way zone?
No, I did, we added in the, like LiDAR topo of everything on that side,
Okay.
and included it in how we were trying to estimate what's getting in there.
You didn't just.
We weren't just taking what was in the right of way, we were trying to estimate what was coming off of the lots and everything, so.
Yep.
So that would be something that the board would like to condition.
I'd like to see it on the plan.
To condition, and then ultimately which would translate to. in
Show the
plan.
flow directions.
Yep.
The
Yep.
arrows.
Yeah, our drainage area plan should account for a bunch of that, and if there's a deficiency in that, we agree that we need to make sure that whatever drainage is getting in there gets accounted for.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions on drainage? Okay, so we've done roadway, we've done drainage. I know Steve brought up one final question that he felt was the third one, which does kind of tie into roadway, is binder versus wearing course. What that looks like, how the board feels about it. Is the board comfortable with allowing a binder course? What is the board's expectation? If we could get a little feedback on that.
I mean, how we want the binder course built, or are we okay having just a binder course and figuring out what's going to happen next later?
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is the board comfortable with a binder course as cited in the plans, or is there a different expectation from the board?
Perfect scenario would be to have it fully paved, of course, right, you know? I think that would alleviate a lot of problems that are currently there. But a binder course, I used and worked off of binder course for a very long time, and it can withstand a lot. Yes, it's a wear course that goes on top. Yes, it's a non-finished course that you put down. All of the strength, all the integrity, all of the boxing, everything's still done the same. What you put on top is ultimately what you're expecting to lose and change when you do the substrate over every 10 years or however long you gotta get out of your road. You'd love to see it fully paved, I'm not gonna lie, but a binder course will get you pretty far. It's just a matter of at what point can you get over there to utilize the funds to pave it, right? That's where we're at.
Yeah. So say like the town paves it 15 years from now, a lot of traffic on, or going one way. Who would be here's, like, actually, so my first question would be, with that binder course, could that be paved 15 years from now? Or would we have to redo it, or would someone have to redo it?
You're asking, say we go 10 or 15 years on a binder course.
Yeah.
The town now has the funds allocated to be able to put a wearing course on this road.
Yes.
What is the potential of the binder course
still being
needing to
able
be
to-
reclaimed
Right.
and redone, as well as a binder course? Is that the question you're asking?
Yes.
Can we, do we have the ability to pull from the fund that John Farrell has talked about before?
We don't have the ability to do anything. We don't.
Town council can though?
Yeah. Can we answer my question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the question again, just to help clarify a little bit. Jeff is asking a hypothetical, we approve this with a binder course only. 10 years goes by, however the funding happens, the town has the funds to make an improvement to Wilson Road, of which they would be looking to put the wearing course on this binder course. What is the likelihood of the binder course needing to be repaired for not having a wearing course for 10 years?
That's a loaded question. It's a hard question to answer, Jeff. Again, not having any drainage on the east side of the road. Where's that water gonna flow? Is it gonna undermine the binder?
Plus, are there gonna be more houses in that area that are gonna cause more traffic as opposed to now? A lot of variables in that.
Right.
Is there a weight limit on
You
that?
should overlay a road every 7 years.
No. Really, the only function to the wearing course is literally strictly to, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, the only function of the wearing course is to protect the binder course from needing repair. Is that fair? In layman's terms?
Yeah.
So, it's really there to protect. I don't think there's a weight rating to it.
No, I look at,
It's like putting a new sole on your sneaker, I guess.
yeah, but how much I weigh directly affects how long that sneaker's gonna last.
That's true, absolutely.
And how
So the
many
more you weigh, the
and how many
quicker-
miles I walk.
Yeah, the more you weigh, the quicker the
So
sneaker
the
wears
more
out.
traffic you have, if you
Right.
allow 18-wheelers to go down the road, it's gonna wear that much faster. It's John's point, you can't. I don't see how you can answer the question.
I think there's gotta be a way too that this board, should we approve this, can recommend to the town council that they direct the department heads to reprioritize their however many year plan to bring this forward. Because certainly, I can't imagine there's other streets in town that have had more neglect than this one.
I can think of one.
For the amount of years, it has been neglected. And so, Charlie testified that it was about $40,000 to put the top coat on.
Right.
Which to me doesn't sound like a lot of money on a $56 million budget or $60 million budget, whatever we have, I can't remember.
About 60,000. So I think that's
60,000. I'm sorry, Charlie just corrected me. I misspoke. 60,000.
So, and I think,
Thank you.
to your point there, I think that's that's where I'm kind of trying to get us to, and to Ryan's point as well. You know, not to solution what it is, because I don't think, because we can't, but like direct and
Can we
kind
give some sort of
guidance?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
I was going to say, you can make a recommendation. There's no guarantees that that'll happen. Even if it doesn't happen, we still have improved sight lines on that road. We still have improved drainage, and we probably have a better road than what was. We might have to redo the binder court. It's there. If we take it the step further, we do. If we don't, I think we're in a better spot.
And the town would be liable for redoing.
Yeah, we have a better right of way in addition to what was before. So there are some.
To that point,
If the town's liable for, potentially liable, I actually don't know. But if the town's liable for redoing that binding court because we didn't invest in the top coat from the sooner, basically kick the can down the road, then that road maintenance becomes a lot more expensive than
What we're doing today.
what we're doing today.
I-
So, I mean,
I do want to answer one question you had. Yes, the liability. I feel like you're asking liability.
Right.
Once this was completed, anything that were to happen to the road is inside of the purview of
Right.
the town to
Yeah.
repair. So the liability standpoint, Jeff, because I think you're looking for a little clarification on that.
Yes.
Would be, once this is complete, this is the town's road. They own it. We own it. We maintain it. Yes, the liability would come to the town.
And if we have to dig up the binder course 10 years down the road, then we probably have to do it, right? And put the gravel down and everything else, which makes it much more expensive.
right.
But you would have had to do that anyway.
Correct. You're doing
Right.
that.
No, I'm just saying, it's not like we could just take the binder off and then put it down over, you know, if
And I guess
if there's not a proper base.
That's the double-edged sword. Is it needs to happen anyway.
Well, I
Whereas
think
giving a little
Tony
bit.
outlined a while ago what that your citizenry, the residents, have an option
Correct.
to
Correct.
vote on this matter when it comes to the monetary decision
Correct.
and or the council. So that would be what I would guess would come of it if this were to get into a condition where maybe it's not ranked whatever one or five, but it's a need. Then the voters and or the town council needs to make a decision at that point and has the ability to do so through different processes.
I would ask, thank you, Kelly, I agree with you. I would ask, we've talked a little bit about planning. I don't know, do we have a 5-year, 10-year road plan? We just kind of have a,
Jake, we get $650,000 a year.
that's what I'm saying. So there has been multiple mentions of a 5-year road plan. We don't have a plan. We have a hot commitment to be able to fix some roads every year.
Fit into that dollar amount.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to clarify, because it has been mentioned a few times, a multi-year plan. There is no multi-year road plan for the town of Londonderry. There's just, we have $650,000 and, well, what do we think we want to fix this year for $650,000? So,
Somebody has to be somebody has to be thinking about it.
Yes, but to your point, we're not affecting a 5-year plan by doing this at all. Me personally, I'd say, well, that would be part of my $650,000 that I would want to do in the next fiscal year. But that's not my purview. That's
Right.
not my place.
It's a question of rank
Correct.
ordering. So, for
Correct.
example, there was a street that was done this year that I Scooby-Dooed when I went by and said, "You got to be kidding me! That street is getting repaved."
Correct.
And I would have done it different. It's none of my business. I'm not in charge of that. I'm just saying it was my knee-jerk reaction was, "Wow, I got 20 other streets ahead of that one."
Correct.
But that's not my job.
Correct.
So it's the same thing here. At some point, somebody has to be directed to say, "Hey, put this to the top."
I agree. Totally agree.
Somehow, you know, we have a new town manager coming in a couple of weeks, and the town manager directs and takes care of the employees. The town council takes care of the town manager. The pecking order is the pecking order.
I agree.
Somebody's got to take the lead and say, "Hey, this got to be on top of whatever list you have. If you don't have a list, then this is number one."
I agree.
Somebody's got to do that. Somebody's got to take the lead.
I
So,
totally agree.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
These are all great theoretical discussions, but can we get back into the...
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, I feel as though we need to. I think we're at a point now where the board needs to make a decision or a motion on an approval of this. But I think before we make that motion, we need to outline some precedent conditions inside of that are going to help aid town staff and the third-party engineers understand what the expectation is of an approval, and from that, the board would make a decision to approve or deny the application.
But, Mr. Chair, I would like the board to know I'd like to go back to the original thing, looking at the waiver request to show the board what they're ignoring.
Sure.
If that might be the wrong word, but you understand what I'm trying to say.
100%. So you're talking, planning board March 5th, checklist items, design review items.
Yes.
Ba, ba, ba.
And design review items, each one of those is a waiver request because of something. So if we, I guess by not doing anything, we're automatically waiving the request. If we approve this thing, we're saying,
These are all correct, because
we're all approved.
Because back into this would be, to your point, we need to go through these and say yes or no. If we say no, so say, just take number 1. Proposed layout indicates several lot lines that are not substantially within 10 degrees at right angles. If we say no, we're not accepting that. That waiver request now becomes a condition of approval, that the applicant needs to show that the proposed layout lot does meet 10-degree right angles, so on and so forth. So I think that's fair, that we should go through these one by one. So, did your thing turn off again?
Did he pass out or is he?
No.
What's he doing down there?
He fell
His
asleep.
computer's a little crazy.
He fell asleep like 10 minutes.
Should I call 911? What's
I just want to note that on that particular item you spoke of, there's a written waiver request, so he's not going to meet those.
Correct. He is, and this is where, so when you go through our process and the way we work, Mr. D did a good job getting me back on track, because we're a little off the rails every now and then. Before approvals, we go through any waiver requests and either grant or deny the waiver requests. We know of these waiver requests. Let's go through them, grant them, or deny them.
Okay.
I want the record to show that Jeff is back with us.
Sorry, my
Is that your office down there?
yeah, no, my computer
I
issues
looked
were
at it, all of a
resolved.
sudden he was under the desk.
Yeah, I was trying to hope no one would notice. But
He's got the Costanza bed underneath that.
I love these meetings.
Before we do these waivers, does the board want to take 2 minutes? If anybody's going to go to the bathroom, we'll go to the bathroom, we'll walk through these waivers, make decisions on these waivers, and then come back. Want to take a quick
Everybody
recess?
went, didn't they?
Let's just blow.
Let's go through it?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go, please.
I'll keep
The,
holding it.
the Celtics are up, by the way.
Like 20.
So the proposed layout indicates several lot lines that are not substantially within 10 degrees at a right angle or radial to the street lines beginning at the right-of-way line per section 3.3.e of the regulations. The applicant has submitted a written waiver request for this requirement. Do we want to vote on these one by one?
Yes, and I'd like to know from staff, from our engineer, why it's important to have these lines at a 90 degree to the street, or right angles to the street, if it's important or not, that important. Because some of our regulations are important sometimes, right, in some developments and not important in others.
Correct, so again, with these, like Rob was saying, again, it's so that you don't create all kinds of pork chop lots.
Okay, so in this case, it's not that big a deal.
No,
So-
and again, like, as he indicated though, because Wilson Road, the geometry,
Right.
the horizontal geometry,
So it's almost impossible to get it.
it's,
Thank you.
So no,
he would have to do it, and then the next requirement is that line needs to be 100 feet minimum, so then you get all kinds of.
correct. So in this case, they can't meet the intent, so there's a waiver for it. And we would have to make a decision that this waiver would not be a
Detriment to the public good?
there's 3 options. Give me the 3 options we usually have. We got detriment to the public good, what is it? Undue hardship or something on the developer, so on and so forth. So, with that, I would be looking for a motion to grant waiver number 1 of the design review items.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion that we do grant a waiver for section 3.03.E of our site plan regulations. The applicant has submitted a written waiver request, and there's no significant detriment to the public good by granting this.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second from Mr. Faber. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Aye, Arthur Rugg.
Hi, Jeff Preston.
Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Item number 1.
Jonathan's gone. So.
Oh, yeah. Please note that Mr. Cruz has taken off for the night. He is appointed by the town council, so he would not have somebody vote in his place.
So the vote would be 7-0-0.
So item number 1 has been granted 7-0-0. Item number 2, the submitted plans do not include the entire boundary of all of the subject parcels, specifically the remainder lot 9 per sections 4.12.c.2 and 4.17.a.2 of the regulations. In addition, it is unknown if the proper monument exists at the angle points along lot 9 per sections 3.02a, 4.12c. 0.4 and 4.17.a.4 of the regulation. It does have a submitted written waiver request. Could staff go through that a little bit with us?
I don't have all that backup. I didn't think we'd ever get to this point.
Well, we're here.
I mean, typically, so the applicant should explain why they're asking for it.
Gentlemen.
I would love to. So I believe Mr. Roki handed you the written letter we actually submitted.
Yes.
Which goes over it. So basically, this item and the next, like 5 or 6, the boundary, HIS mapping, wetland delineation, markers denoting the buffer for the wetlands, TBMs, 1 per 5 acres, etc. We are asking to only provide that information in the area where the proposed lots are being created. So we're asking to waive it specifically from the remainder.
So help me out. There's like 200 acres there right now.
189, I believe, is the existing acreage.
So you're asking to only apply item number 2 to the areas that you are impacting, which would be the new lots.
That is correct.
Is that correct?
Furthermore, this is based on a 2009 survey by Hayner Swanson. So, I mean, we didn't just pull this acreage out of thin air. It was surveyed about 15 years ago, and it would be an enormous amount of effort to go around the entire boundary of this 189 acres and delineate wetlands on the entire 189 acres just to create a subdivision that's about 18 acres.
Understood.
So that is the basis for the request, and it's the same logic for this item and the next, like 6 or 7 items.
Yeah, like number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like almost all the next ones follow the same logic.
Okay.
Right.
Does the board have a full understanding of that they would be doing it in the areas that apply to this new subdivision, not the entire lot as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm confused by the language, whoever wrote this, because it says subject parcels, which should, to me, a subject parcel is the 7 lots or 9 lots or whatever it is that are being built. So I don't understand.
The subject parcel of the survey would be the lot we are subdividing.
Which
So
is the
just-
Subject parcel is
You need
the
to
whole.
spell out which lots this is applying to and which lots it's not.
Correct.
Yeah, because that's confusing.
Correct.
The way it's written.
Correct. So we need to specify that we are waiving it for the, Kelly, help me out here. We need to specify that we are essentially looking to waive it for the entire lot, but this is still applicable to the new 7 or 8 lots, whatever it is.
8 lots.
I think it's specific to 24 lot 5. and Lot 9.
Which are, help me on these
The
plans.
waiver request would be specific to the remainder lot, which is map 16, lot 9. Map 24, lot 5 is kind of a sideshow to this whole thing. They have, if you probably don't have a sheet on the screen here, but basically their house, number 55 Wilson Road, is very close to the existing lot line. So as part of this whole adventure, we're bumping that line over so that their house meets the building setback now. Okay. So they're going to acquire this parcel A, which is about 0.129 acres on the edge of the last lot, 9-17, and just gives them a little more buffer.
Let me ask it this way. Are you going to meet the standards outlined in 3.02A for that lot as well, or no?
We are not,
Okay.
but they're also, like, we're just adding some land to it and making it bigger.
So I think what we would want to do is we would want to apply this to the bigger lot. We do want to see, in your case, Kelly, 3.02A, we want to see that met for the new house lots, correct?
So I understand what was just explained to mean that they are not meeting this requirement, and they are expecting a waiver to be applied to map 24, lot 5, and map 16, lot 9. Lot 9 is the big lot.
So map 16, lot 9 is the remainder of
Correct.
what is going to be subdivided.
Correct.
What is the other
The
lot?
other lot is the lot that is
Abutters lot.
the abutters lot, but is part of a lot line adjustment as part of this overall plan.
Right.
Okay.
So we still apply this standard to a lot line adjustment.
Correct.
So if they're not going to meet it, sounds like they're asking for a waiver from it. It should be included in this request.
Okay.
So those are the two lots, as I understand it.
Okay.
And I think that's where the waiver request that had been requested, it was unclear
Wasn't
to us.
specific
And
to
they
that.
said they need to clarify it.
Because if you just say, I grant this waiver, we're going to read it to say that applies to the whole
I agree.
plan, and that's not even what they're asking.
Correct. So
Or
we
vice
need
versa.
to re-clarify, the waiver here, that
It's for those two lots.
it's for those two lots.
Yep.
Or you ask them to clarify it, they put it in writing to you.
That would be part of the condition, no?
It's up to you.
Yeah. So,
Let me,
Uh-uh.
it wouldn't be a condition, you would just say, we grant this waiver 302A for lots, map 24 lot 5 and map 16 lot 9.
16, lot 9. So, yeah.
You guys understand what we're saying here? Like,
Yes.
Yep.
so why wasn't it brought forward like that to begin with?
Can I steal back the letter that John handed you so I can verify exactly what I wrote there?
Why don't we have that letter?
This is from 2024.
Oh, okay.
This was from the first go around this time.
So I'll read it. It says, Dear board members, regarding the above referenced project, we are requesting waivers from the following sections of the subdivision regulations for the large remainder portion of map 16 lot 9 and for map 24 lot 5. We feel these waivers are appropriate because, and then all the things I just explained, and then I cited the 7 sections of the regulations that are pertinent. So I did request those waivers for those lots.
For those both lots.
Yes.
So in your letter, you're requesting the waiver for both the lots. The design review back from the engineer is just interpreting it differently.
Yep.
However, your waiver is requesting it from just those two lots.
Yes.
Okay. So the applicant would be requesting a waiver from, I guess what I'm looking for is a motion that design review item number 2 which is a waiver request for lots 24-5 and 16-9 specifically would be the waiver they're requesting. That would be the motion we're looking for.
I'll move that, Mr. Chair, and that is regarding sections 3.02A, 4.12C, point 4, and 4.17.A.4 of the site plan regulations, and the granting of this waiver is there'll be no significant detriment to the public good.
And just to add, that would be with lots 24-5 and lots 16-9.
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Faber. All in favor, starting with Ann, please say aye.
Ann Champa, aye.
Hi, Lynn Wiles.
Aye, Arthur Rugg.
Aye, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Design review item number 2. Waiver request has been granted for 24-5 and 16-9. Design review item number 3. The submitted plans do not include topography for all of the subject parcels, specifically the remainder of lot 9 per section 4.17.A.23 of the requirements. The applicant has submitted a written waiver request to this requirement for consideration by the board. So if I'm understanding that correctly, the topography is not included for the remainder of lot 9, which is the 100 whatever acres is left after subdividing this into X amount of lots.
Yes, sir.
Does the board have any questions to that?
And that other small piece, right? Was it 25?
And lot 24-5 as well. Correct.
Why would it not? Why would you not provide the topography for 24-5, which is the other applicant, correct?
That's correct.
Why would you not provide the topography for that?
Because the purpose of these regulations is to ensure that what we're doing is good. You know, it's developable land. We're not creating a bad lot. We're not creating a public health problem. All this is doing is adding a sliver of area to that lot. So if that lot was okay as it is today, giving it another eighth of an acre of land is not going to suddenly make it no longer an acceptable lot.
That's fair. Does the board feel comfortable with that? So I would be looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion that we grant a waiver specifically for lot 9 and lot, was it 24-5?
24-5.
For section 3.10 and 4.17.A.32, the site plan regulations. And, no.
No, that's the wrong section.
I'm at 4.
You mixed two up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just for some clarification, Mr. Rugg, I am looking for a motion for a waiver request to section 4.17.A.23 of the regulations for the remainder of lot 16-9 as well as lot 24-5.
And the reason
I have a motion from Mr. Penta. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Knights. I'm going under the table. All in favor, starting with Ann.
Ann Champa, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Aye, Arthur Rugg.
Jeff Pence, aye.
Jason Knights, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Waiver number 3 has been granted for lots 24-5 and 16-9. All right, the fourth item. The submitted plans do not include HIS mapping for all subject parcels, specifically the remainder of Lot 9 per section 3.1.0 and 4.17.A332. Of all the regulations, we note the submitted HIS mapping includes only a small portion of the remainder of Lot 9, and the requirements for a large lot under 3.10.C does not appear to be met. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is still pertinent to the bigger lot which is lot 9, it's pertinent to the areas that are not getting developed, correct?
That's correct. Same lots, same justifications.
So this also pertains to 24-5 as well?
Does.
Okay. Does the board have any questions with that? All right, seeing none, I am looking for a motion to grant a waiver to section 3.1.0 and 4.1.7.8.32 of the regulations for lot 16, the remainder of lot 16-9 and lot 24-5 as written.
So moved.
I have a second from Mr. Knight, motion from Mr. Knights. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Penta. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Aye, Lynn Wiles.
Aye, Arthur Ruggie.
Jason Knight's aye.
Aye, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Design review item number 4, waiver request has been granted as motion. Number 5, the submitted plans do not include wetland mapping for all the subject parcels, specifically the remainder of lot 9 per sections 3.11, 4.11.c.14, and 15, and 4.17.8.14, and 15 of the regulations. We note the wetland delineation information provided on the submitted plan states the delineation area was conducted in the spring of 2017, and the delineation has expired per ENV-WT 406.02, more than 5 years. We note the prior information did not address the vernal pools on the property as currently requested. Gentlemen, walk us through that a little bit.
I'm not sure what you're talking about with vernal pools as requested. I haven't seen something requesting information on vernal pools.
Our waiver request that we initially submitted was for the wetland delineation on the remainder of the site for the large parcel and the wetland delineation on just that one lot.
So,
well, it's the same thing, but I'm just...
Kelly, to clean up, to try and make a little bit more sense of this, again, this is only pertaining to 24-5 and the remainder of lot 16-9, correct?
No, yeah, but again, the plans is submitted, the wetland delineation was older than 5 years old. So they need to do a wetland delineation.
This applies to the total land that's before you, all the parcels.
So help me out with that. We're developing, just to make it a little bit smaller here, we're developing, call it for a round number, 20 acres. This is asking for all 190 to be delineated, all of the wetland of...
They're asking for a waiver to not delineate the whole 120. That's what they're asking for.
They're asking for a waiver not to delineate what isn't being subdivided.
Correct.
Yes.
And in reviewing the plans, the stamp
noted that it is expired.
Correct.
So I agree that the whole lot should not have to be delineated, but I do feel as though obviously the plan that they would need to
they need to
verify the delineation whatever this is of 406.02. They need to do it for the new lots. So this would only apply to, again, what is not being developed. Correct? Okay.
So I will say I reached out to Mr. Gilday. He's the wetland scientist that did this, and of course he did it back in 2017. I reached out to him, this past winter when we were getting ready to resubmit to get a stamp, and he did not mention anything about expiring delineation. So I will get in touch with him about making it current.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad to do that.
whether we grant this or not, you still need to provide it for what we are.
We need to provide the current.
Correct.
Make it current.
Yes.
Correct.
But the point is that they're asking to waive it for the portions of this 190 area, whatever, that they're not touching.
Which I'm comfortable.
That's right. What?
We didn't ask to waive the redelineating the
No, we didn't ask to waive redelineate because I wasn't aware that was even
Yeah.
a situation that was coming up.
We're asking, our waiver specifically was to not delineate the large parcel and the.
Which we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
We can agree that we're,
And we agree that we do need to make sure it's current.
okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. So, with that, does the board have any questions on it? Do we feel as though we have a good understanding of it? So I would be looking for a motion to waive sections 3.11 and 4.1C.14 and 15 and 4.17, 8.14 and 15 of the regulations as noted in design review item number 5 for lots 16-9. The remainder of lot 16-9.
And 24-5.
And 24-5.
Like I said.
You need to address the vernal pool issue as well.
Yeah.
Can we separate those? Can we separate these here? So the vernal pools, I think, obviously need to be identified in the lots that are being developed. I have no problem. This waiver is, we're making it specific to lots that are not being developed. 16-9.
All I'm saying though, Jake, is they need to address the vernal pool issue.
I agree.
Say it in that way.
I agree.
don't
You
get
do
into
need to
this.
address the vernal pool issues on the areas that are being impacted through development. I agree. Absolutely. Do I have a motion?
You have any questions about that?
I do. I'm not sure where the vernal pool comment came from. I mean, I would expect that any wetland scientist worth his salt and soil scientist, he's a wetland and soil scientist because he did the HIS mapping too. It seems odd to me that he wouldn't have called out any vernal pools that were in the subject areas. And as far as I'm aware, there are none.
We'll just have to
Well, it has to
verify.
be
So,
verified.
Well,
is that all we need? Because I'm just I'm confused by the language here.
What you need is a verification that there are no vernal pools.
And are you,
That wetlands are current in
Correct.
their exact location shown on the plan, and that there's no vernal pools.
Correct.
No one gets it.
Okay,
Correct.
Yep.
good.
Ideally, we're just saying the
vernal
plans are
pools
good
and
as
wetlands
is.
are different.
I agree.
Two different
you.
things.
Do I have a motion?
So you're not waiving the vernal pool in this motion?
No,
You are.
Oh, we are.
You are specific to
To
the
the
portion of
Specific
lot
To the
area
remainder.
that is not being developed. The vernal pools still
Yep.
apply to the area of development.
Yep.
Thank you.
Correct.
Yep.
9. I got it. Don't worry. We got it written
Kelly's
down.
got it. Do we have a motion?
So everyone agrees what we're.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So moved.
I have a motion from Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jason. All in favor, starting with Ann.
Ann Champa, aye.
Lynn Wildside.
Hi, Arthur Rugg.
Hi, Jeff Petzer.
Jason Nightside.
Hi, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Item number 5 in the waiver requests has been granted as discussed. Item number 6, the submitted plans do not indicate or include the location of the conservation overlay district signs for all the subject parcels, specifically the remainder of lot 9 for section 3.02.c of the regulations. The applicant has submitted a waiver request. If I'm understanding this correctly, any conservation overlay district signage for the lots that are getting developed will be noted on the plan and be marked through your site plan process.
Yes.
What is
Correct.
not getting marked are the wetlands on the balance of the big lot, 16-9, as we've discussed.
Also correct. And lot 24-5.
One more, just to say it in a different way. Remember that 3 times?
That
thing?
3 times
Three
thing.
times, yeah.
You never thought I'd remember that, but you said it to me.
You learned something in 4th grade, buddy.
Come on.
You did. So if I understand that overlay, conservation overlay, the signage goes on the lot that's being developed. So the house lot, let's call it a house lot. The signage goes on that piece of land to show the current owner, don't touch that.
Right, goes along the buffer line.
So it doesn't go on lot 9.
Where nothing's being
Behind
developed.
it goes on that lot. So each of these lots, if in fact they are overlaid, will have one of those signs on it. But as you're trudging through lot 9, there's going to be no signage. Because that's
Correct.
not what you're developing, and it shouldn't matter.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions? I am looking for a motion to grant the waiver per section 3.02C of the regulations with regards to conservation overlay district on the remainder or the balance of lot 16-9 and 24-5.
So moved.
I have a motion from Jason. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Sean. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Aye, Lynn Wiles.
Aye, Arthur Rugg.
Aye, Jeff Benson.
Jason Nightside. Aye, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Item number 6 of the design review waiver requests have been granted. Item number 7, the submitted plans indicate 4 benchmarks and do not provide the minimum of 1 per 5 acres for the entire project area of 188.9 acres as required by regulations. We note that the area of the proposed new lots as presented on the plans is approximately 17.3 acres, not including the remainder parcel, and the minimum benchmarks for the new lot area has been provided. So, if understanding this correctly, again, this is specific to lot 16-9, you're going to provide the benchmarks for the area that is going to be developed, which in this case, if it's 1 per 5 acres, with 17 divided by 5?
3 point.
So about 4. There will be between 3 and 4 benchmarks for this. Does the board have any questions on that? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to grant a waiver to item number 7, which
What is the regulation?
What's the regulation for
Yeah.
that? What's the regulation number?
do you know the regulation number by chance, Kelly?
It's on that letter I gave you.
4.17.8.25. Section 4.17.8.25 of the regulations, where a minimum of 1 per 5 acres for the entire project area is required for the balance of lot 16-9. I'm looking for a motion on that.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion from Mr. Rudd.
And the reason is there's no significant detriment to the public good.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Lynn Wiles, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Benta, aye. Jason Nightside. Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Item number 7, with regards to section 4.17.8.25, has been granted for the balance of lot 16-9. Item number 8. The project is located along the portion of Wilson Road that is deemed substandard due to the one-way only pavement width less than 24 feet and geometric conditions of the roadway, including a sharp curve. We note that the planning board denied a similar design for the project December 11, 2019, since it didn't meet the requirements of 3.09. The planning board denial on the 19th noted all subdivisions shall have adequate provisions for safe and suitable access to Class 5 or better road, shall make provisions for the construction and identification of a Class 5 or better road where an adjacent existing street from which access is gained is deemed to be substandard. The upgrading of said street shall be provided for as may be required by the Town of Londonderry Department of Public Works. This is a long one. We can all see it here. This is going to our roadway standards. We would be waiving this with the condition that we'd be waiving this to the site plan or section 3.09 of the regulations. A condition of approval would be included that discusses the roadway requirements that we have discussed tonight. Does that make sense?
As per plan.
As per plan. Correct. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
All right, I'm looking for a motion to grant.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. So in the last 2 hours that we've been discussing this particular project, I've done some research, and I know that one of the things that could impact this is people are worried about binder versus top coat. And from my research, I understand that there's someone in this room that could put this on the schedule, that has sole, that's Mr. Trottier. Would you be able to tell us that this road can be paved in the next 5 years? Can we put that?
Couldn't tell you that. 'Cause
Well,
again,
you make the schedule, so you choose the roads. Can you commit to putting this?
so getting $650,000 a year with 192 miles of road, again, I'm not gonna be able to allot monies to this particular road.
Out of curiosity,
We're getting into
I know
a
we are.
discussion about how to spend funds,
I know
and
we
that's not
Yeah.
something.
Okay, I'm just saying, trying to make our
I
life
understand.
easier if we can figure out, okay, yeah, the next 10 years we can do it, or the next 5 years we can do it, and that might alleviate the pressure from the board. That's why I got into it. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm just saying, because I know the next road that I see that's paved, I'm gonna wanna go see if there's that worse than Wilson Road. Why was this paved? Why wasn't Wilson Road paved? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
so that's kind of where I'm going with that. So I apologize. I was trying to figure out who, like, does the town council, none of the town council minutes approve road pavings that I could find, and it seems like that's within the staff.
Just to reiterate, the council has the authority to direct the town manager to direct department heads, town staff on how to prioritize their departments, how to prioritize whatever it is that they're working on. That's the order of operation.
role of the council.
Okay.
There. Thank you. So, with that, I would be looking for a waiver specific to item number 8, which is with regards to section 3.09 of the regulations for the roadway standards. I'm looking for a motion on that.
So moved.
I have a motion from Jason. Do I have a second? Motion from Sean. Do I have a second? I have a second from Jason. All in favor, starting with Ann.
Can I ask a question? What about the waiver, I mean, the wearing layer? The wearing,
So the wearing layer,
yeah,
I think is gonna be addressed when we get through waivers. We'll have a discussion of what the conditions of approval will be.
okay,
From there, we can discuss the design as per plan, and if the board would like to amend that design at all. So that would be a little bit further down the road here at this meeting.
okay.
Yes. So I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Lynn Wilds, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Hunt, aye.
Jason Knight's aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. The waiver for item number 8 for section 3.09 with regards to roadway standards has been granted. Item number 9, the proposed shoulder grading design from station 2+30 to 3+25 on sheet 7 does not provide a typical cross section for a 4H to 1V slope from a gravel shoulder to a 1 foot deep wide swale, and required the 3H1V back slope per exhibit D7 of the applicant's cross section detail. Talk to me about that a little
Okay,
bit, gentlemen.
I can explain that. Can you bring up sheet 7, please? I can just show you quick. If you zoom in right on the beginning, right next to Lance Ave. So what they're talking about is that little hatched area right off of Lance Ave until we get
Where
to...
it says stone-filled
Yep,
Class C slope.
that's it. So the reason we can't meet the slope in there is because that lot has already been sold. That was part of the prior subdivision. That lot's been sold, and we only have what we have for right of way.
This is that driveway for that lot.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so you,
So we're doing steeper slopes where we're actually creating a ditch, but we're using riprap and we're just making sure that everything works because we have to force it into the right of way that we have in there. We don't have we can't go back to the well and get an easement from them.
so
That's it.
If I'm understanding, just to clarify a little bit, you can't meet this regulation because you can't, essentially you can't build outside of the right of way.
Correct.
Because
That's
you
it.
don't own the land on the other side of that right of way.
Correct.
So you're doing everything you can to meet.
I'm
the
doing
standard.
everything I can to make it better in that section within the right of way I have, but I technically need a waiver for that little chunk of land. Because then as soon as we get to the next, where we have our lot, we've made the easements we need.
Okay.
So that's it.
Does the board have an understanding of that? Any questions? So I am looking for a motion to grant a waiver of item number 9 with regards to sloping in sections 2+30 to 3+25.
So moved.
I have a motion from Sean. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Glenn Miles.
Hi, Arthur Rugg.
Hi, Jeff Penta. Jason Knightside.
Hi, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Item number 9 has been granted with regards to stations 2+30 to 3.25 on sloping. Item number 10, the subdivision plans imply a proposed zoning change for the subject area to relocate the zoning line to match the proposed lot lines, which requires approval of the town council that is not addressed in the application or notes. Please update the project application plans and notes to this item as acceptable to the planning department and zoning officer. This is not a waiver. This would be a condition of approval.
Correct, so just procedurally, I think you've gotten through.
Number 15 has a waiver.
Okay, there's one more somewhere in here. Thank you, yeah. 15 you said?
Yeah, number 15 says, yeah, I just searched for the word waiver, sorry.
The problem being though, again, now we're getting into where they're saying this is what they've done to those plans, and we have not looked at those plans.
So, let's back up a little bit to number 10. So number 10 is becoming a condition of approval on the plan, correct?
So I guess that's what we're asking.
Yeah.
So you've gone through your waivers, now we're getting into conditions. Again, this review memo is based on a March submission,
Correct.
not the current one in front of you.
Correct.
So
So,
some of these may apply, some may not. I can't
Correct.
speak to that.
so,
I
so,
can tell you specific to 10, please keep it, because it's relating to the zoning of the parcels, and that should be
correct.
consistent and cleaned up.
So I feel as though items 10, the way this is written is items 10 through 21 are conditions of approval. So the applicant needs to meet these as conditions of approval, irregardless of it being this plan or the next plan that's going to be updated to identify everything we've discussed tonight. If one of these, I'm just going to pick one out of the blue. Let me find a short one. If item 17, for instance, they update their plans and they decide that they cannot meet item 17, they would have to come back to the board for a waiver request.
So just to point out too, so the bold font is their response, the applicant's response. Some of these items are highlighted, and I'm going to assume there's a reason.
That's the applicant.
Okay, so I think we still continue through these line by line. So 10,
Read it.
subdivision plan, didn't I already read this one?
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
So number 10, we agree that is a condition of approval.
Yep.
Number 11, another condition of approval. The submitted topo plan sheets 4 and 5 are at a scale of 1 to 50 and do not comply with section 4.01, which is a scale of 1 to 40. So that being said, a conditioned plan ready for signature will reflect 1 inch equals 40 feet. In the event that the applicant cannot meet that after final review, they would have to come back to the board.
I can do it.
The applicant's submission includes improvements. Number 12, the applicant's submission includes improvements to Wilson Road that do not reconstruct the roadway to the necessary Class 5 standards per Section 3.09R, Table 1 of the regulations. We note the following relative to the Wilson improvement plans. The applicant's submission does not include a proposed horizontal design of the roadway per Section 4.16C of the regulations, and items, 7.3.A.12 of the checklist as presented. Does not meet minimum design radius required for a 35-mile-an-hour design. So these are items as they pertain to meeting a Class 5 roadway, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I would consider that this item would not have, this item would be stricken from any condition of approval because we are going to substitute it with a different condition that discusses the roadway standard. That is the expectation for the roadway.
So the only thing with that though, Jake, is again, so John's gonna have to put his horizontal and his vertical geometry together on that, as Tony indicated, you know, we're concerned with that. And then the other thing though too, so if you look at item B, the design is absent of a roadway profile design. So again, that's a typical, when you're designing a road, you put profile and you put the sections together.
Is that what, I mean, these are the profiles here, aren't they?
I did the sections.
The sections.
Basically, what it's talking about is like the first one is talking about the curves are too sharp yet to meet the roadway standard, and the second one, if you do the roadway profile, like the K values going over and through the dips and things like that, might not meet the road profile standards.
Correct.
But then
I could show what the roadway alignment is. Just this is what the curves are, and they won't be to standard, but it'll be on the plan.
So I guess this all needs to, at the end of the day, all of this needs to reflect the design intent on the plan that the board is going to condition. So it is not going to be, you still need to show these.
Yep, I can do that.
As per what we are requesting of you, not what our regulations are.
So, for example, in 12B, you would strike the reference to the regulation.
To the section, correct. So.
And say, per the plan as presented.
Correct. So.
Does it still have to go on the checklist?
Or leave it and we take this and we adjust the notice of decision to reflect that.
That's fair.
So you don't have to go through this.
You understand what we're
I
trying
get what
to
you're
do.
saying.
Do you guys have a complete understanding of what our expectations are?
We do. I just wanted to also just clarify that as an example, so
Absolutely.
everyone else understands what you're doing.
Absolutely.
This comment is based on a different plan, not this plan, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, but some like I do not have the road profile. I did not show the road profile on this plan. There are a couple things because it was all this comment was under 3.09, and right above that we were asking for waiver from 3.09. But what we're discussing is a hybrid of all this. Like 3.09 is turning into whatever condition you guys put on us.
Got it. Correct.
So if you guys want us to show the existing horizontal alignment and the existing profile, I can put that on there.
Good. Thank you.
Kelly, you have a good grasp for that? You're comfortable with it? Okay. Item 13, driveway site distance plan for proposed lots 910 and 911.
What happened to the utility poles?
Yeah.
That comment we think we did address. So we tried to address that one. We're not
Same
asking for not doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I stopped at C, didn't I?
Yeah.
Or no, I stopped at B.
You stopped at B.
Yeah.
So C, you're all set on the poles? Or are we all set on the poles?
They would have to.
That needs to be verified. We think
verify it.
The
applicant needs to verify in the new plan that.
Yep.
The utility company hasn't said where they're going to put them yet, right?
No.
So you want to keep it?
we're showing
Yeah,
on
I
our
mean, I think
plans.
they still need to
We're
show-
showing on our plans that we put them we're trying to put them in the right place when they need to be relocated, but the utility company has to
So
verify
we
it.
can verify it on the new
Correct.
plans that we haven't looked at yet.
Correct. Absolutely. We on D? Yeah. The right-of-way and proposed lot lines are unclear on sheet 7 and 8 of the plan set. Please clarify. The right-of-way lines and property lines have been shown on the plans, and they are also better delineated on the subdivision plan set as well.
Yeah,
So
we'll make sure that shows
we
up.
would need that to be verified.
Yep.
Including the easterly right-of-way line on Wilson Road. correct?
Yes. Correct.
Say that again, John?
Including the easterly right-of-way line on Wilson Road.
Okay.
Yep.
Item E, the proposed swale grading design along Wilson Road from station 9 +0 to 11 +0 does not provide a minimum top embankment width of 2 feet as required by the Department of Engineering to establish and maintain a proper roadside swale. Can you guys discuss that a little bit?
My response is I think I made some corrections to the plan that we have now that address it. So
Okay.
we're not asking for any relief from that.
Okay. That would only be specific to the west side of the road, correct?
Well, again,
The lo-
we'll have to see if he's changed something.
Does not provide.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't say.
Well, that's why I'm asking for the question.
Yeah, no, that was
Because theoretically, the way I read that is they need to show it on the east and the west side of the road, so they're gonna be back here asking for a waiver to the west,
yeah.
east side of
If
the
it's
road.
specific to the east side, then
So-
I have it addressed.
I would wanna verify it on the plan for the west side of the road. Item F, proposed design intent to modify portions of the existing substandard roadway with pavement patching is not customary. We understand that this plan has been upgraded for additional drainage and a full mill and new base for a top coat with a paving crown. We would want that verified in our plans.
Yep.
Based off of what we have here. This goes with G as well. We would want that to be verified through the plan as well. 13, site distance plan for proposed lots 910 and 911 does not provide proper site distance for profile A on sheet 13. In addition, the site distance for proposed 9-16 and 17 do not provide the proper site distance for profile A. Also, the site distance for 245 does not provide the proper site distance for profile A. We recommend that the applicant discuss the proposed driveway designs with the Department of Engineering and update the design acceptable. Your comments, 9-10 missing it.
Yeah, my comments on all of those, basically on my comments on these is I tried to address it on the plan. So I think I
So you'll be
probably
able
have
to
it addressed,
verify
but
those on-
that's something we're not asking for any relief from. We're trying to address it.
Fantastic. Item number 14, again, something they're not asking relief for, stormwater design. It involves stormwater design in the discharge to lot 9.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about a maintenance agreement will be discussed with the town as well as flowage easements. Both ponds have gravel access to the outlet structures.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is address both the easements and making sure we're addressing the comments that are in this.
Okay.
We're not trying to ask for any relief from that.
So remember I had mentioned again with 2 basins there, all I'm gonna ask for is flowage rights.
Mhm.
You allow it, the water's gonna go there, you give us rights, we'll maintain the pipes into them, you maintain the detention ponds.
Okay.
But again, they still need to provide the means for them to maintain it, so however they do it, a homeowners association or that one person that buys that lot.
I was gonna say, would that be something that would be like a deed requirement or something like that?
Again, it all depends on how they wanna do it.
Okay,
Homeowners
but either way,
association,
irregardless, they're showing it and they're not asking
all I
for
want though is flowage rights.
flowage
They're
rights.
saying
Period.
the maintenance agreement with the flowage rights would.
Fantastic.
And to be clear, asking for the flowage rights is typical. It's not unusual. It's something that's done
Yep.
frequently.
We just did it with this,
Yep.
I just
Yep.
want to get it on tape.
Yep.
This is usual and customary to ask for that,
Yep.
and usual and customary for it to be given.
Correct.
And this
Yep.
doesn't appear like it's going to be a problem, so we're all good.
Item number 15, with relatives to stormwater analysis. the project involves 9 frontage lots on Wilson Road, so you'll be able to meet it. You're showing it on the 18 acres is essentially what I'm getting out of that, and you're comfortable with meeting the requirement.
Yeah, I'm addressing it for the
lots
developed
in,
areas.
The lots in question.
The developed
inside.
areas, and I've expanded it a little bit to include what I can on the east side too for the pipes we put in.
Okay. And again, something that would be noted on the.
So again, so you're saying a waiver will be submitted if necessary.
Yeah.
So again, the way that this.
And this is.
The way this comment is, you should be looking at the whole 189 acres, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So are you gonna analyze the whole 189 acres, or are you gonna ask for a waiver?
I do need to do, you're right, I do want to ask for the waiver for the 171, the remainder parcel, like the waivers we were asking
As
for
we
before.
did through 1 through.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
they were, pertaining to lots.
Yeah, because what it's saying is any point on that 171 acres, I would have to do a design note on every place that it exits that property to meet the regulations. So I would ask for a waiver for that.
Okay. So we would be looking for a waiver on 15A for the remainder of lot 16-9. I'm looking for a motion on that.
We have that right.
We think we need it right.
Oh,
I would I'd have to write it out.
You got a pen handy? Can we make a motion on
paper if you want.
waiver through discussion here, or does it actually need to be written down?
You gotta see the written thing. And also
Yeah, I don't know if we
Write the thing down, would you?
Wait.
I'm writing it down.
But this isn't gonna move it. Like they still have to come back because there's all these other things. I just
No,
think,
they're willing to meet all this. As the way this stands, all the stuff that we're going through right now, they are saying, yes, we're gonna meet this.
okay.
They're asking for what seems to be a waiver that they had missed, specific to. Basically, what would happen is we could say yes to this, and then they'd come back in a month with a waiver saying, "Hey, we don't want to do the rest of the 180 acres," or we could ask them for a written waiver now.
No, I agree with the moving it forward. I just don't know. Has this been done before? Like we
are.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
But I would say we're in a world that's never been done before right now. So
Okay. I know. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm new, so I'm trying to learn here.
we have.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of us feel the same way.
Art's new, yeah.
Yep, we've never done this before.
So can we jump this and come back to it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Keep on going?
I'm fine with that. As if the board's good with that. Is the board good
Yeah,
with coming back to 15A?
Yeah, and the site plan, regs also.
So B, the wells and septic have been added to the plans, and so you're willing to meet the requirements on B. There's no need for it. That's a condition of approval. C is another condition of approval that they would have to meet with regards to operation and maintenance of stormwater management.
Jake, if you can.
Yes, sir.
Just go back to B. So again, John, the comment is really reading that you didn't take into account the wells and the septics. You're saying they've been added to the plan set. That's all you're saying. So in your drainage analysis, did you account for the septic systems? That's what that comment is really reading.
No, it's saying that have you gone through and adjusted for the tree lines, the septics, the wells, like the cleared areas for all of those things? And I have gone and basically done adjusted lots, like showing all the improvements and increased the lawn area on the lots and accounted for that in the drainage report.
Okay.
So I do think I'm addressing the comment.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, would be verified through.
Right.
Yep.
If you guys see how I'm reading it, though.
I understand that. I understand that. C, with regards to operation and maintenance of stormwater systems, you agree, and you will be adding a manual to the report and final plan. D, the proposed road. As noted above, the proposed roadway improvement design currently is not acceptable to the town, and thus the amount of proposed impervious area for the proposed acceptable roadway design is not known, and no further review of the stormwater design was conducted at this time.
Yeah.
That's all basically reflective to what our expectation is when we put our condition in, correct?
Right. Okay.
Yes.
And they'll have to make sure they address it.
Correct. So they'll be addressing it based off of what's presented in the plan, not what the regulation is.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. Board understands that, we're comfortable with it. Item 16.
Chad, before you continue, do we need Brian to be here still? I know this is good
You didn't want to
entertainment.
stay for the whole thing?
I know this is good entertainment for him, but if we don't need him anymore, I don't know.
Brian, Mr. Johnson, you are free. I feel as though we're good. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Johnson?
I think we're good.
Mr. Johnson, you are free to go, sir.
I appreciate it.
And he's still not getting up.
Free to go like an hour and a half ago.
It's too interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
The applicant is proposing impacts within the conservation overlay district that will require conditional use permit approval by the planning board. We note that the applicant's submission did not include a CUP. We recommend that the applicant prepare a CUP application and meet with the Conservation Commission to discuss the CUP and discuss impacts that occur for the project and obtain recommendations. We have met with the Conservation Commission for this project and have a recommendation letter to the planning board already.
So this is, I guess, we need to figure out what the CUP application. I don't know. We actually turned in a CUP application because we didn't know we needed it, or what. But I was mostly responding to the request that the applicant go to the Conservation Commission. We did actually go to them and went over the plan with them, and I think there's a recommendation from them that they agreed with what we were doing for this site.
So again, though, John, you need to ask for a conditional use permit if you're doing work within the CO district. So did you ask for a CUP from the Conservation Commission? Or you just go and have a...
I did. So I didn't discuss with them specifically a CUP.
There you go. So that's what the comment is saying.
Yep.
So if you're working within CUP, within the Conservation Overlay District, the COD, then you need to ask for a conditional use permit through them, not just talk to them. So it's going to be a condition of the approval.
Yeah.
Condition of approval. We will.
This would be, this is something that we would not waive, even if you had requested it. So this will be a condition of approval. So they will be going to the Conservation Commission for a conditional use permit that they will ultimately end up coming here for the conditional use permit. Understood.
We will receive the letter from them.
From the Conservation Commission, correct?
That's basically just to put the drainage.
So that's understood.
Yeah,
it would be a condition of approval.
we need to do we need to do it.
Grading and stuff. Yeah.
Item 17 has to do with title block locations.
Yeah, I think I need to have that addressed.
Yeah. Either way, it's a condition of approval. You're going to have to make sure you meet it. Item 18. The following subdivision plan and topic. We recommend the applicant address the following items A, B, C, D, E, and F, which need to be verified with the assessor. Am I understanding that?
No. Well, yeah. A lot of them are.
And so these would all be conditions. Everybody is in agreement with that. Item 19. The applicant has previously obtained a subdivision approval for 2018. It appears a town stormwater permit is needed to propose development. The application should submit and obtain, as I feel like this is a pretty standard one, submit and obtain all, necessary state, so on and so forth. That'll be a condition of approval. Item 20. We recommend that the applicant address the comments of a traffic study review as noted in the letter dated March 5th, 2025. What are the items on that? Do you have that, John? Is it further down? Alright.
Yeah, just scroll down.
I have I think if you go down further, I have it.
Yep.
It's
next page.
Yeah, so
irregardless, before we go down a traffic rabbit hole here, this is a condition of approval that will be met.
According to their response, I would agree with you, Steve.
Okay. And item number 21, the applicant obtain and address all DRC comments as applicable for item 2.10 of the checklist. What's item 2.10 of the checklist?
DRC.
Okay.
And we go back to the previous one. Did you read what the applicant, the response to traffic impact study review? The applicant said we don't feel that additional work on traffic review would change what the planning board is considering. The road is proposed to remain a one-way road with physical improvements to the drainage, grading, and road service. I just want to make sure everybody read that.
Yeah.
what we had turned in, so what we had turned in was the initial short analysis, and part of what has been suggested is that we need to go back and do more traffic work and do a full analysis of the road and try to determine more information on it. My response was basically saying we know that we basically discussed that it's going to be a one-way road, and continuing forward, we're improving it in the way we're improving it, and doing a full traffic study on it wouldn't necessarily change how we're working on the road, but that's up to you guys to weigh in on.
I don't think they need a full analysis.
8 houses?
Yeah. Feel as though they need a full traffic analysis for these 8 houses? No? Okay.
I don't know if that turns into a waiver or.
Well, I feel as though John was comfortable with. John, do you feel as though they need a full traffic analysis for this?
Again, at least a minimum of the short analysis.
Has the short analysis been performed?
I don't believe it has.
Yes. Steve Furnaw had done a short analysis.
A short analysis, meeting 314, our site plan regs for traffic.
I have no idea. Like Steve knows the regulations for the town of Londonderry. We hired him to do the short analysis.
So if you have a verified short analysis, you're satisfied.
We'll make sure of that.
Sounds like the applicant already feels as though they have it, and if they don't, they're going to provide it as a condition regardless.
That's fine.
Item 21, applicant obtain address DRC comments as applicable per item 2.10 of the checklist.
Yep.
Obviously, those items would be applicable based off of the roadway as presented on the plan. All right. We've gone through waivers. We've discussed some conditions. I feel as though we need to, Kelly, when would be the appropriate time to add any additional conditions to this? Would it be after approval or before?
You need to make a motion for conditional approval, if that's what you're doing. State that you need to specifically state the items that you outlined here. I would just state the number and letter.
Yep.
And then also add whatever else at that time.
So let's have a little discussion about that, board. So in the motion, we'll be looking for, I have one more waiver to go through first. We do have a waiver for item 15A for the drainage analysis for the remainder of the development on tax map lot 16-9. We have a written waiver request here. Do I have any questions, or can a board member make a motion on it? This was with regards to them not having to complete the entire drainage analysis on the balance of lot 9, which is the 100 whatever acres that are not pertinent to what is getting developed. The drainage analysis is still needs to be verified for the areas of development, just not the areas that are not being impacted. Could I get a motion on that? I have a motion from Jason. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Sean, and all in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Aye. Glenn Wiles.
Aye, Arthur Rugg.
Jason Manzai.
Aye, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. A waiver has been granted for item 15A with regards to a drainage analysis on the remainder of lot map 16-9. So with that, let's discuss our conditions here. I would have items 10 through 21 with the exception of 15A. So let me go through this real quick.
You're saying as noted in the
Yeah, as noted in the staff.
Memo dated March 5,
Yeah.
2025.
Dated March 5, 2025. And that the following conditions be added. So what else are we looking to add to this? I think that anybody can help me out here. A condition would be that the plans reflect, the reflected plans show
Cross sections.
the cross sections to define the roadway design on sheet 7. Is that fair, Kelly?
Yep.
The revised section.
Yes, correct.
We understand it.
Correct.
John, you understand it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Board, do we understand that? Is there anything else the board would like to add as a condition of approval?
So if I can though, Jake,
Yep.
so what's gonna happen though, again, so they're gonna revise, he's gonna walk out of here with the conditions of approval. He's gonna go revise this plan. Golday is gonna look at this, if he has to tweak his lot sizes and stuff, those comments are gonna, some of those lot sizing, there's gonna be comments to that, so there may be additional comments that may come out of them revising the plan, as long as everybody understands that.
Yep.
It's not,
Yep.
all of a sudden, why didn't you tell us this before? We're not looking at the final set of plans.
No, I agree with you on that, John. That,
So it's still pending third-party review.
yeah, as if you look at all of anything we condition, it's usually the last item says subject to final engineering review.
Okay.
This is part of that final engineering review. That is standard for every plan review. Our condition will specify the roadway. And is there anything else we want to add to that?
Roadway and drainage.
Roadway and drainage. So can we help me draft what I'm looking for a motion here? Motion to grant conditional approval as noted per the memo dated March 5th, 2025 to include an updated plan set reflective of the sheet 7 updated plan set reflective of the sheet 7 roadway design and roadway and drainage design.
Roadway, sheet 7, including east side flow direction of water.
So to include updated roadway design as per sheet 7,
including flow direction.
To include
flow direction of water on east side.
Flow direction of water on the east side of Wilson Road. Is there anything else that the board feels as though they would like to add to that motion? Kelly?
I just have these are just
Please.
what we usually have for precedent and then general and subsequent conditions. So for the precedent conditions, which would be included as part of this discussion you're having now, owner's signature provided on the plans, map and lot numbers verified with the assessing department and updated if needed. Any draft easements shall be reviewed by the town. Digital copy of the final plans to be submitted to the town. Any L-chip and or recording fees made payable to the Registry of Deeds. Note all approval of waivers on the plans. Outstanding third-party review fees shall be paid within 30 days of conditional approval. You need a financial narrative.
Okay.
Financial guarantee to be provided satisfaction of Department of Engineering, Environmental Services. Final planning and engineering review. And then the general and subsequent conditions as outlined in our regulations, which are 5 total conditions. Not
What she said.
So, can I summarize that a little bit, Kelly? Are you comfortable with this? Precedent conditions as per planning department recommendations and outlined in regulations. Are you comfortable with that and feel as though that meets what you've just asked? Okay. So, what I'd be looking for, to sum this up, I'm looking for a recommendation of approval as noted on the memo dated March 5th, 2025, to include an updated roadway design as per sheet 7, and to include flow direction of water on the east side of Wilson Road, as well as the precedent conditions as per our planning department recommendations and as outlined in our regulations.
Did you say flow rate and direction? Did you say that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So please add flow rate and direction.
No, they did it according to.
Make it quick. If you have something, make it quick before we're going for a record.
No, I think we're good. What we're just talking about is making sure the top coat thing was clear, but it is because we're talking about that detail specifically.
Correct.
So I think we're good.
Correct.
That was it.
So, just to sum up, I'm looking for a recommendation of approval, as noted per the memo dated March 5th, 2025, to also include an updated roadway design as per sheet 7, and to include the flow rate and direction of water on the east side of Wilson Road, and that all precedent conditions as per the planning department recommendations and as outlined in the regulations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Jeff. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Jason. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Aye, Lynn Wiles.
Aye, Arthur Rugg.
Aye, Jeff Henson.
Jason Isaac. Aye, Sean Faber.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. The Wilson Road subdivision tax map 16 lot 9 23 Wilson Road, Londonderry, New Hampshire has been approved as noted per the memo dated March 5th, 2025, and the discussion therein to include updated roadway design as per sheet 7, and to also include the flow rate and direction of water on the east side of Wilson Road. These precedent conditions will be met as per our planning department's recommendation and as outlined in our applicable regulations. That was a mouthful. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
you.